finally graduating from the Magic Academy. Our main girl, Noelle, is looking like a straight-A student with the world at her feet. Her friend Luke tries to play it cool while they talk about their futures. He suggests staying in the capital to practice magic, but Noelle reveals she is actually heading back to the countryside. Luke is completely floored. He cannot believe she is wasting a prestigious degree on a small village. There's a real reason behind the move. Her mom got sick from overworking to pay for her tuition, so Noelle is going home to take care of her. She is not giving up on her passion though. Even with her family responsibilities, she beams with joy and promises to find a way to work with the magic she loves. Cut to Western Ardenfeld. This is about as rural as it gets. She arrives at the local magic craftsman guild to start her new life. The grind is real as she drags herself in for the morning shift. Another day, and Noelle is already feeling the burn. She is giving it her all as a magic craftsman. It has been 3 years since she joined the guild. Even with her talent, her days are filled with the repetitive task of making simple crystal balls. She starts her shift with a speed boost spell before imbuing magic into the spheres. It is a precise process that requires her full attention. It is a delicate process that requires extreme caution to avoid breaking the materials. Little by little, she pours her magic into the work while keeping a calm smile on her face. Her hands move in a blur as she works, prompting a coworker to comment on her speed. The peaceful silence is suddenly broken by a loud slam and a shout of, "You have got to be kidding me." The guild master is having a total meltdown. He points an angry finger and screams, "These are all the potions you made." The worker stammers that they just do not have the manpower to finish the order. He is basically begging for mercy before the boss loses it. The guildmaster slams his hand down with a loud thud. He accuses everyone of slacking off and calls them nothing but total plebs. The boss yells that no one leaves until the work is finished. Noelle checks on the manager, offering to heal him after he takes the brunt of the verbal abuse. Noelle realizes the potion department is a disaster zone. The worker confirms his partner collapsed, making him the latest victim of the brutal schedule. Co-workers are dropping like flies from the extreme overtime and low pay. It is a revolving door of people quitting or getting sick from the grind. Our girl has been working for over 3 months straight without a single day off. She is starting to forget what a life outside the guild even looks like. While magic careers are standard in the capital, this rural town has some seriously backwards views on women working. Magic jobs are rare here, so she is stuck in this toxic environment if she wants to keep her career alive. Our girl clenches her fist with a look of pure determination. She is not about to let this job slip away, no matter how rough things get. She pushes her limits to smash her daily quota while her co-workers watch her work. The flow is interrupted when a messenger arrives to say the guildmaster wants an audience. The guildmaster does not hold back and tells her exactly why she was called in. He looks her dead in the eye and lets her know that she is fired. He claims that after 3 years of work, her only skill is making simple crystal balls. Noelle can only stand there and tremble in silence as he calls her work something anyone could do. The boss keeps the insults coming and calls her a good-for-nothing employee. Noelle finally hits her limit and shouts back that she is capable of so much more. She begs for one more chance to prove she can handle complex magic projects. Her plea is cut short by a loud slam as the boss loses his patience. The guildmaster calls her a shameless fraud and a liar. He refuses to believe she actually graduated from a prestigious magic academy when her magic is so basic. The insults keep flying as the boss calls her a straight-up incompetent pleb. Noelle stands there frozen, buried in a mess of visual shame. She clenches her skirt so hard her hand shakes while swearing she did not lie. The guildmaster just gives her a cold side eye that says he does not believe a single word. His final words hit hard, telling her she has zero talent and should quit magic for good. She walks away from the guild, letting the harsh rejection sink in. Our girl is currently going through it, sitting alone on a swing set as the rain comes down. She has no idea how much time has passed since she was kicked to the curb. She looks back on 3 years of the grind, where she did triple the work of anyone else. She even handled all the dirty jobs that no one else was willing to touch. As she walks through the woods, her mind is stuck on a loop. She keeps asking herself if she really is just some talentless fraud when it comes to magic. But even if she is starting from zero, she is still not ready to give up on her magic journey. Our girl is not letting a little rain stop her. She is determined to find a new job by tomorrow because magic is her entire life. The job hunt turns into a montage of straight rejection. From magic guilds to street performers, everyone has the same answer for her. Even a local boss she knows gives her the cold shoulder before she can even finish her pitch. She demands to know why she is being blacklisted. The employer lets the cat out of the bag and explains that the mayor's son is threatening to ruin anyone who hires her. The realization hits her like a truck. It turns out the guy who fired her is the mayor's son, and he is using his family's power to finish the job. Back in the day, the guildmaster was rejected from a magic academy and never got over it. Now he is taking out all that petty jealousy on a top-tier graduate like Noelle. The door slams shut on her last hope. She is officially out of options in this town. Everything finally makes sense. Every place she visited before must have been threatened by that same bitter man. The realization that she is officially blacklisted from magic jobs finally hits her. She stares into nothing, her hand clenching into a fist as the weight of the situation sinks in. Sadness quickly turns into straight-up rage. She is absolutely fuming at how dirty they are doing her. Realizing that being angry is just burning calories, she spots a nearby tavern. She decides to deal with her problems after she has had a proper meal. She heads inside the full-stomach hall and orders the special without a second thought. As she grabs a seat, the regulars start pointing and whispering at the small girl who just ordered a monster plate. The guys at the next table are being total jerks, laughing about how she is way too young for that meal. They are convinced she is a clueless kid who is about to get wrecked by a plate of food. Being called a kid is the final straw for her. She is mentally screaming about her secret padding tactics just to prove she is a grown woman. The waiter drops off a massive mountain of food that makes her look even smaller. She glares at the mountain of grease with pure determination, ready to eat the whole thing just to prove those guys wrong. A few patrons cheer her on and tell her to eat up so she can grow big and strong. Others are just there to mock her, laughing that it is a bit early for her to be giving up. She clears every plate on the table like it was a snack and immediately asks for dessert. The guys who are just laughing are staring at her clean stack with their jaws on the floor. She digs into a huge flan with a smug grin, loving every second of their shock. This is a petty victory for her. She was the champion of the table since her school days. Back then, she took the top spot in the campus eating contest and left everyone else in the dust. Someone behind her lets out a chuckle and tells her she hasn't changed at all. She turns around with a confused look, wondering who would know her history in this place. A familiar face from her academy days steps into the light. It is Luke, and he greets her with a calm smile. She nearly jumps out of her seat seeing him there. She cannot believe a high-ranking student like him is hanging out in a random backwater town. Luke points out the obvious. Her black hole of a stomach has everyone staring, so he suggests moving their chat somewhere a bit more private. They head outside to talk. It has already been 3 years since graduation, and the nostalgia is hitting hard. Noelle gives him a friendly pat on the back, teasing him about how much he has grown since their academy days. Flashback mode engaged. She remembers exactly why he left such a bad impression 9 years ago. Back then, a young Noelle was just minding her business when Luke came charging in, absolutely livid over a stunt she pulled. Being the genius son of a duke meant he had a lot of pride, and it clearly snapped the moment a commoner like Noel beat him on a test. She was not about to let that insult slide. She shut him up real quick, with a swift chop to the head. Noelle is not about to let him look down on her. She shouts that her mom works her heart out for her to be at this school, and that is worth way more than any fancy title. She swore to keep winning no matter what. Tests became an all-out war between them, with Luke playing the role of a formidable but sore loser who hid his nasty attitude behind an honor student act. But eventually the vibe of their relationship started to shift. Our MC finally reached her limit and asked for help, even though he was the last person she wanted to talk to. Even though she asked 5 times, Luke stayed patient and promised to keep explaining until she got it, showing an unexpectedly nice side. Turns out Luke loved magic just as much as she did, and in no time at all, the two rivals became the best of friends. They started pouring everything into their studies. Looking back on it now, those were the best years of her life. Back in the present, Noelle whispered to herself about how fun those days were. She quickly brushed it off with a smile when Luke asked what she said, and got right to the point. Luke asks if she knew he became a court mage. She saw it in the paper, but passing the notorious exam with the top score is a surprise even to her. The ranking system for court mages is a strict pyramid of power. News of a new genius reaching the elite adamantite class even reached this backwater town. Luke reveals the truth. He is the genius everyone in the capital has been talking about. He presents a gold watch as undeniable proof of his new status. It carries the official emblem of the adamantite class. Only the finest mages in the world are allowed to join the court mages. Reaching the second highest rank is an achievement reserved for the true elite. Noelle remembers their graduation and her former best friend. She clenches her clothes, telling herself she needs to congratulate him with a genuine smile. Tears well up in her eyes as she forces a happy face. She manages to say congratulations even though her heart is racing. Luke wants the raw truth after seeing her finally hit her limit. Noelle can barely process why she is losing her cool in front of him right now. Opening up about her work life feels like a weight off her shoulders. Luke stays locked in, giving her his undivided attention. Every job she tried ended in disaster until the whole town basically turned its back on her. No matter how much magic she used, it was never enough to keep a position. Sitting on the swings, she admits that his success just made her own failures feel even heavier. She felt like a bad friend for letting bitterness get in the way of his big moment. Luke does not find her struggles pathetic at all. He is actually furious that the local employers lacked the vision to see what she can actually do. His blunt defense of her talent quickly turns the heavy vibe into a much-needed laugh. Even if he acts like it is no big deal, his words clearly hit home. While she reflects on their friendship, Luke drops a game-changing detail about his new rank. Being an adamantite class mage comes with the right to choose a personal partner. Luke finally reveals his endgame, stating he wants to be the greatest mage in the entire country. To reach that level, he needs a partner who's actually capable of challenging him. He doesn't waste any time and locks his sights on her. It's you, Noelle. Everything comes to a standstill as the magnitude of his request sinks in. He's dead serious about needing her help to climb to the top. Fast forward a few days to the capital of the Ardenfeld Kingdom. Noelle is already losing her mind over the sudden change of scenery. The royal palace is a massive flex, serving as the headquarters for the most elite mages. Walking through the elite headquarters has Noelle physically shaking. The local mages are already throwing shade, wondering why a kid is intruding on their space. It's time to meet the head of the personnel department to make everything official. Luke warns her that the higher-ups are definitely going to have something to say about her lack of a track record. Noelle steps into the massive hall and asks if it is a training room. She greets the examiner with a polite bow, but he is already looking skeptical. He fixes his glasses and tells her straight up that he will not accept her until she proves her worth. Luke asks if she has to pass a test to get in, and the examiner confirms it with a single word. Noelle is already starting to lose it because the vibes are getting serious. The man points out a massive wall and explains it is made of the same material as a measuring ball. This entire setup is designed to test a mage's true magic capacity. Luke whispers that she just needs to blow a hole through the stone, which should be easy for her. Noelle looks at the wall and realizes it looks way too solid for her comfort. Luke keeps his cool and reminds her that this is the bare minimum for any court mage. Noelle admits he is right, even if she is currently sweating bullets. Most people spend their entire lives trying to reach this level of success. She stands there in silence, feeling the weight of every genius who came before her. Staring down the magic circle, she knows the bar is set high for a reason. It is time to see if all that hard work finally pays off. She thinks back to all the sleepless nights spent grinding her magic skills. No matter how tired she got, she never let up on her studies. The elite examiner yells that she has zero talent, but she ignores him and focuses on her magic circle. She starts stacking multicast and mana boost to prepare her move. One last mana recharge and she is ready to go. She knows that nobody on the planet loves magic as much as she does. She lets out a wind blast with a confident shout. The spell roars toward the wall with enough power to shake the whole room. The impact kicks up a heavy cloud of smoke. Once it finally clears, everyone sees a clean hole punched straight through the thick stone. Our girl starts hopping around in joy while the examiner looks like he just saw a ghost. She celebrates her success with Luke, proud that all her training finally paid off. Luke just chuckles, fully realizing that his friend is a certified monster. He admits he did not actually expect her to blow a hole through the entire thing. The examiner loses his mind because nobody expected a trainee to destroy the testing equipment. This was supposed to be a simple assessment, not a demolition site. It turns out she did not actually need to commit property damage just to pass the exam. Luke confirms she went way overboard for no reason. The whole system is just a scoreboard for magic power, and a passing grade is all that was required. Breaking the entire machine definitely puts her in a league of her own. Most elite mages can't even scratch that stone, so the sight of a hole is attracting a massive crowd. This kind of power is unheard of for someone her age. Word is going to travel fast, and even the prince might end up hearing about the girl who broke the court. That kind of attention is the last thing she wanted right now. Being the target of every joke is starting to get old. He just laughs it off because seeing her get worked up is his favorite hobby. Things get serious when he admits she is the only rival who ever truly challenged him. It is time to see what they can accomplish as a team. Luke gives her a confident smirk and admits he is hyped to have her as his partner. Noel just blushes while calling him out for being so smooth, but she is definitely not complaining. They lock in the deal with a solid handshake, officially starting their run as the ultimate power duo. Welcome to the Kingdom of Ardenfeld, a land where top-tier magic is the only thing keeping the local monsters at bay. It is known as the peak of magical innovation on the entire Western continent. With the best magic education in the world, every mage here has one singular goal. They all dream of landing a career that only the top-tier elite can handle. That dream is becoming a court mage, and right there on the gold watch is the name Noel Springfield. Our girl holds her new gold watch while struggling to believe this is finally happening. This moment has been a lifelong dream that is now a reality. After checking out the new uniform in the mirror, she celebrates being the real deal. But in all that excitement, she accidentally lets her official contract slip right out of her hands. Reviewing a real employment contract for the first time is a big deal. This is what a proper adult job looks like. The salary for a 10th class mage is way higher than expected. With guaranteed weekends off and 30 days of paid vacation, these benefits seem way too good to be true. Landing a job with actual benefits and no overtime is like winning the lottery. This is the ultimate win for someone who has been exploited for way too long. Luke is more concerned about what kind of nightmare conditions she was dealing with to get this hyped over the bare minimum. He has seen standard contracts before, but she is acting like this is a miracle. The list of past trauma is cursed. Between the 3 months with no breaks and coworkers with dead eyes, Luke decides he has heard enough and shuts the conversation down. Luke is shocked she ever worked at the Magic Guild since imbuing was her absolute worst subject. She does not even try to deny it, admitting it was the only class she ever failed. Back at the guild, she was a walking hazard. Every tool she touched exploded from mana overload, earning her the terrifying title of the God of Destruction. Luke still does not get why she chose a job she was terrible at. She just smiles, admitting that being called a God of Destruction actually made her feel powerful for once. She is getting serious now. At the time, she genuinely believed that forcing herself into that struggle would help her grow as a mage. Noelle confesses her guild job was just a fallback because real magic work was scarce. It turns out Luke felt the exact same way about wanting to follow his passion. He points out that all that struggle actually made her a better mage. She is completely caught off guard by the sudden praise. Luke doubles down, insisting he would never lie to his rival. This unexpected respect hits a lot harder than his usual teasing. That simple confirmation is exactly what she needed to hear. All those miserable hours of grunt work finally feel like they were worth the effort. Her thoughts drift back to graduation day when she thought her dreams were dead. Now she is finally standing exactly where she always wanted to be. She gives Luke all the credit for her success in the most wholesome way possible. It is a level of pure gratitude that he clearly was not prepared for. This completely breaks Luke. The elite mage is currently suffering from a critical system failure and cannot even handle the direct eye contact. A flashy guy interrupts the awkward moment and treats the whole situation like a game. He found Luke and seems way too casual about it. The newcomer waves and asks if Noelle is the legendary rookie. She barely hears him because she is too busy staring at the massive gem on his belt. That gem proves he is part of the Magus class. There are only 7 people in the capital who rank that high on the pyramid. This dude laughs and starts patting Noelle on the head like she is a kid. He admits he never thought anyone else could destroy the entrance exam wall. Luke grabs the guy by the wrist and tells him to stop treating his partner like a child. Noelle is basically shaking and yells that she already knows exactly who he is. She sees him as the most outstanding mage she has ever met. He looks like he is made of steel and radiates an insane amount of talent. He is the strongest scorching mage in existence. The world knows him as the Blazing Mage, Gawain Stark. Noelle goes full fangirl mode and begs the legend for an autograph right on her coat. Could I get your autograph? On my uniform is fine? Luke tries to drag her away by the collar while she fights for her life to stay. Don't stop me. I might not get a chance like this ever again. Reality hits hard when she realizes this legendary mage is actually their new boss. Gawain just laughs at the chaotic energy. Looks like you brought a funny one, Luke. Gawain admits he wasn't sure what to expect from an outside hire, but Luke has full confidence in his choice. I told you I was going to bring someone I could never beat. As they walk through the halls, Gawain wonders why Luke picked her of all people. Luke just keeps it simple and calls her dumb and careless. Noelle isn't taking the disrespect and starts yelling while Gawain enjoys the show. Haha, looks like you two get along well. Underneath all the banter, Luke knows she is the only person he can actually trust. Because of his habit of distrusting others, she is the only one who gets to see his guard down. Gawain lets her know she is officially part of the 3rd squad under his command. Noelle looks like she is about to melt from the embarrassment of being so close to her favorite legend. The captain mentions a special initiation, which has Noelle daydreaming about a massive cake buffet. Luke ruins the fantasy by explaining that Gawain is just a meathead who loves making a scene. Things get scary fast when Gawain explains she has to survive a 60-second magic battle against him. It is called the Bloody 60 Seconds, and Noelle looks like she just saw a ghost. The news of the duel echoes through the grand halls of the palace. Everyone is shocked that the rookie is already going head-to-head with a captain. Mages start sprinting toward the training area to catch the action. They are all hyped to see the girl who allegedly destroyed the entrance exam wall. The onlookers are surprised by how small she is, even whispering that she looks like a literal child. Noelle loses it and starts barking back at the crowd for their disrespectful comments. Luke calmly explains that these events always draw a massive crowd. He adds that there's actually a prize waiting for her if she manages to pass the test. Luke flexes his own success, reminding her that almost nobody passes this trial while he did it with ease. The mood shifts the second he mentions the prize is a top-tier stake, sending her motivation levels straight through the roof. But reality sets back in. Facing one of the 7 strongest mages in the capital has her hands shaking. She starts spiraling about her lack of combat experience since graduation until a firm hand lands on her shoulder. Luke locks eyes with her, telling her to just go out there and show them what she is made of without overthinking it. Clenching her fist, she looks at her locket and decides that if Luke believes in her, she has to believe in herself. Determination takes over as she stares down the captain. It is time to prove she belongs here. Gawain starts the match with zero chill, launching a flare blast that fills the entire arena. Noelle is caught off guard as a wall of flames rushes her. This man is casting multi-spells without even opening his mouth. Noelle scrambles to put up a magic barrier before she gets fried. The explosion sends her flying back. She hits the dirt but immediately looks up, sensing the next round of heat incoming. Gawain keeps the pressure on with a rapid-fire barrage of explosions. Noelle is starting to realize that standing still is a death sentence. She pops a spell boost to skyrocket her speed and weave through the chaos. Gawain just smirks, admitting that our girl might actually have some moves. Even with her stats boosted, she is just barely dodging his casual attacks. This captain is built different, and Noelle is feeling the pressure. Luke watches with his arms crossed, knowing this is peak madness. Trying to survive 60 seconds against a literal monster is a tall order even for her. She pulls it off. Invoking support magic during that onslaught was a clutch move. This comes from years of the grind. She used to spam these spells just to finish her daily chores on time, so now it is second nature. Gawain catches the vibe and mirrors her move. He stacks the same buffs just to keep the pressure high. Onlookers are getting worried for her safety. They want the match stopped before she takes a hit she cannot handle, but she is locked in. Her body knows this exact rhythm from a familiar opponent she has faced 1,000 times. She spent years losing to her best friend and rival. Those frustrating defeats prepared her for a fight like this. He is right. Knowing Luke believes in her gives her all the strength she needs to see this through. Recalling those old training days with Luke gives her the spark she needs. Gawain locks eyes with her, seeing through every movement. He raises a hand with a confident smirk. I see it. No more running. Noelle takes to the air and preps a heavy counterattack. She lets her wind blast fly with everything she has got left. He brushes the gale aside with a casual swipe. Noelle hits the dirt and clicks her tongue. Frustrated that her best shot did not even leave a scratch. That wild grin says everything. The blazing mage is officially done holding back, and he is about to go full tilt. People in the stands think she has reached her limit. They see her trembling and think she is cooked, but she is actually smirking while remembering the days everyone called her useless. She remembers how Luke took her in when nobody else would hire a failure. I will show you that decision was not a mistake, she thinks, locking in for one final push. Her foot hits the ground with a heavy thud. She realizes that just surviving for 60 seconds is a pipe dream at this point. Noelle puts her life on the line and dives in for one final explosive charge. Spectators are convinced she is about to become a crater, but Luke is not sweating it at all. A massive explosion rocks the arena. Smoke clears to reveal the blazing mage offering a hand to the rookie. He is impressed she survived his full power. For Noelle, the relief of finishing the fight is the only thing that matters. With the 60-second timer finally up, the whole stadium erupts to celebrate the win. Gawain is already hunting for a rematch, but Luke shuts that down before things get even crazier. The crowd is officially sold on her talent. Victory looks good on her as she celebrates the passing grade. Luke admits she is still a beast, proving his faith in her was well placed. Watching from the shadows of the VIP box, a mysterious figure smirks and asks for the girl's name after that wild display. The examiner confirms her identity while our girl Noelle celebrates her win, completely unaware she just caught the attention of royalty. It is Noelle Springfield, he says, officially introducing her to the kingdom's prince. Night falls over the Lavacha Magic Craftsman Guild as a frantic report breaks the silence. The Vice Guild Master bursts into the room with some shocking news for his boss. He reveals that Noelle Springfield, the girl they recently cut loose, has somehow become a court mage. The Guild Master is stunned that someone he considered a total failure made it into the elite ranks. Flashbacks show she actually graduated from a top-tier academy, which the boss tries his best to ignore. He tells his assistant to just forget about her, even as his trembling hand proves he is definitely bothered. Looking for a win, the boss shows off a brand new business proposal that just arrived. The legendary Oswald Company finally wants to do business with them. This is the biggest company in the kingdom, and they only work with the absolute best in the industry. For a local guild, a deal like this is a 1-in-a-million opportunity. Apparently, they have taken a special interest in the guild's latest batch of crystal balls. The Vice Guild Master is confused and asks what could have possibly caught the eye of such high-profile players. The appraisal is unheard of, with the company claiming they have never seen quality this high before. They are ready to pay whatever it takes to secure the entire stock. The Guild Master raises a toast to his own reflection, dreaming of the day his name is known around the globe. He is practically drunk on his own ego as he celebrates the big deal. His assistant offers some praise but quickly mentions they do not have enough staff to handle such a massive workload. The boss just brushes it off with a smug laugh and tells him not to worry. While pouring more wine, the boss explains that the secret to business is just overworking the staff as much as possible. He plans to squeeze every bit of profit out of them regardless of the cost to their health. The two men laugh over their new partner's lack of insight since he is paying top dollar for work Noelle used to do. They genuinely believe she was incompetent, failing to realize she was the one holding the place together. Rumors swirl that the new court mage is being wasted on menial chores at the capital. Meanwhile, Noelle finishes cleaning the barracks and looks pretty happy with the results. Checking off the last item on her massive to-do list, she finally completes her morning chores. The room is sparkling and she feels a sense of accomplishment. Memories of her previous life show a constant blur of dizzying labor and burnout. Our girl expected her new position to be just as exhausting, but starting a fresh job means there's always a lot to learn. Noelle is living her best life. No overtime and no exploitation means she gets to head home the moment the clock hits quitting time. The court mage's order is the peak of the kingdom. It is divided into specialized groups, like the first squad for magical affairs and the second squad for justice. Noelle and her team are part of the third squad. The third squad handles security for the palace, while other squads manage everything from medical aid to the creation of magic tools. Since monsters are currently in their calm off-season, the mages have plenty of free time to assist other departments. Noelle is eager to expand her horizons. She really wants to talk shop with mages from every different squad. Her morning gets an upgrade when a high-ranking mage approaches. This is Letitia Lisa Tastone, the third squad vice captain and a legendary adamantite class mage. Noelle greets her with pure energy. Just one look at the vice captain is enough to make Noelle want to follow in her footsteps and become just as cool one day. Letitia snaps her back to reality with a quick check-in. Noelle is already busy manifesting her future as a top-rank adamantite mage. The vice captain warns her that the job is mostly boring security work, but Noelle is here for it. She would rather spend all day practicing magic than doing anything else. Between the royal library and high-end magic tools, she feels like she just won the lottery. Letitia tells her to keep it chill and not accidentally burn the place down. Staring out the window, she starts to wonder if this whole setup is actually too good to be true. The happy vibes quickly turn into a moment of deep silence. The imposter syndrome starts hitting hard. She clutches her chest, wondering if a girl with her track record even belongs in a place this elite. This squad is full of legends, and she can't help but compare herself to them. Back home, she was just known as the dead weight who couldn't do anything right. Her brain goes into full panic mode as she imagines everyone turning on her. The thought of being called useless and getting fired all over again is her worst nightmare. Noelle realizes she needs a survival plan to avoid being kicked out just as Letitia approaches her with a request for magic tool maintenance. She immediately lands on the perfect strategy. Operation Do All the Chores, a plan to make herself way too useful to ever fire. By tackling every random task in the building, she plans to build up so much credit with the other mages that they will never want to let her go. When Letitia asks which specific tools she finished, Noelle casually mentions she did the whole lot, leaving the vice captain completely stunned. Letitia points to the top crate, assuming that was the job, but Noelle clarifies that every single box in the entire warehouse is already done. A simple thank you from the vice captain sends Noelle into a total frenzy, and she immediately starts looking for even more work to handle. She realizes that being appreciated for her hard work is a feeling she never got to experience back home, and it fills her with a new kind of joy. Noelle is finally starting to feel like she belongs and clenches her fists in pure determination. She tells the vice captain that being needed like this is the best motivation she has ever had to keep grinding. Letitia takes a good look at her new rookie and starts second-guessing her first impression. While the girl seems a bit childish, she clearly has the drive to handle the brutal workload of a court mage. Watching the girl work is actually terrifying because of the raw speed she maintains. Letitia realizes Noelle is relying on a spell boost that should have burnt her out long ago. The vice captain has to step in and ask how this is even possible for a single person. Even an elite mage can only hold that kind of power for 10 minutes before hitting a wall. Noelle just gives a cheerful smile and drops a total logic bomb on her boss. She casually mentions that her personal record for maintaining that boost is a full 8 hours, leaving Letitia completely speechless. It turns out her legendary stamina was built through pure desperation and manual labor. She explains that she used to pass out constantly just to hit her daily quotas until her body finally adapted to the strain. Noelle laughs it off as a tough experience, even though she blacked out for the final hour of her longest shift. Letitia can only stare in horror, wondering what kind of nightmare village could produce a monster like this. Letitia is spiraling into some dark theories about Noelle's past. She wonders what kind of brutal hellscape would force a girl to boost her magic for hours on end, just to survive. She imagines Noelle was the secret student of some legendary ancient sage, but the reality is much more corporate. Our MC was just a victim of a greedy boss who loved doubling her workload on a regular basis. Letitia is basically tearing up at this point, convinced her new recruit is a hardened survivor. She decides that pulling off an 8-hour magic marathon is nothing short of a miracle. Time for some aggressive pampering. Letitia starts head-patting the poor girl and offers up a bowl of treats to heal her supposed mental scars. Back at the castle, we head over to the court mage break room for a little downtime. Noelle is living her best life, stuffing her face with cookies while gushing about her new boss. She is still clueless, thinking it is totally normal to get praised for doing basic chores. Our girl is officially a fan, declaring her love for Letitia because of the snacks. Luke is just sitting there with a twitchy eye, probably wondering how she won over the vice captain so fast. Luke is deep in his feelings over a cup of tea, questioning why Noelle is obsessed with some random person instead of him. He is the one right next to her, yet he is getting sidelined for the new boss. Noelle stays oblivious and tries to fix the mood with a cookie. He is not having it and shuts her down immediately, but she just keeps pushing the snacks. The hype for next week is real, as Noelle brings up the royal family's legendary ball. This event is a massive deal with a century of history and acts as the kingdom's ultimate matchmaking spot. Her knowledge of high society goes way back to her childhood dreams. Even as a kid, she was already planning her debut, although her vision of the ball was a bit more food-focused. Working at the palace means she is finally in the room where it happens. She is fully leaning into the Archmage grind while staying starstruck by the location. Luke ends the suspense by declaring she is attending the ball as his partner. The shockwave from that reveal is enough to rattle the entire castle. It is not all fun and games, since they are on security duty for the royal family. Luke lays out the plan to keep the guests safe, while maintaining a low profile. An empty grand ballroom with high ceilings. The plan is to keep the number of knights low so they do not ruin the atmosphere. Elite mages and knights are going to attend the party in secret. Luke and Letitia look like the perfect undercover duo for the job. Noelle is having a full meltdown with her eyes spinning in circles. She thinks she is too low rank for this, but Luke just sips his tea while ignoring her panic. Luke flashes a smug smile while pointing out that she is already famous. Her performance during the entrance exam and the duel with the captain was enough to win everyone over. Our girl is still having doubts about the whole thing. She is worried that a commoner like her will stand out too much among the high-ranking nobles. Noelle is horrified as she asks what Luke did to get the plan approved. He just turns and walks away, mentioning that they eventually reached an agreement with anyone who opposed it. A bloody dagger and a fallen silhouette show the dark reality of the situation. Luke brings up a recent attempt on the Crown Prince to explain why they need her power. Luke breaks down the global chaos, calling it the perfect window for a big move. Noelle is just trying to follow along. Stopping a high-profile crime at the royal ball would make him the youngest magus in history. Noelle listens with undivided attention. She wonders if he is just chasing clout. He shoots that down, explaining that status is just a step toward his real goal. Clenching his fist, he explains that becoming the greatest mage is the only way to break free from his noble pedigree. It is a quest for freedom, not fame. Noelle assumes being a genius noble means he can get anything he wants. Luke starts to disagree just as a hand reaches for the snacks. He talks about the only thing that matters while swiping the last treat from the plate. Noelle starts yelling because he just lied about his appetite. The vibe shifts instantly when he admits the one thing he wants will never be his. Our MC stays quiet as the mood gets heavy. Our boy admits there is something out there more important than magic itself. It is a secret priority he refuses to let go of. This one goal is so vital that walking away is never an option. Noelle realizes that under all the teasing and cold logic, her friend is actually a genuine soul. She takes a quiet moment to swallow the weight of his words. Noelle goes full support mode, offering to help him reach his dream. Then her curiosity kicks in and she starts guessing if he is chasing a legendary sword or some rare loot. Luke shuts the conversation down instantly, telling her it is time to clock back in. Noelle is left hanging with a giant question mark over her head. Noelle begs for a hint as they head out, but Luke stays quiet. He knows she is the one person in the world who can never know the truth. But the dude flat out refuses to tell her what he's really after, insisting she's the one person who can never know. Welcome to the Great Ball of the Scarlet Roses, the most exclusive event in the kingdom for the last century. Only the absolute elite get an invite to this legendary party. News of the invite drops like a bomb and leaves Noelle's mom completely floored. She can barely process that her daughter is actually attending the biggest social event of the year. While her mom is busy losing her mind, Noelle just keeps shoveling rice into her face like a pro. She confirms the invite is real, which immediately sends her mother's imagination into overdrive. Mom is already picturing a scene straight out of a romance novel where Noelle meets a foreign prince. Our MC tries to pull her back to reality, but the woman is too far gone in her own head. Things get heavy as Noelle thinks back to her childhood as the daughter of a hardworking single mother. Her mom juggled multiple jobs just to keep them afloat, often leaving little Noelle to eat her meals alone. Despite the financial struggle, the bond between them remained unbreakable. A younger Noelle holds onto her mother's apron, knowing exactly how hard they have to fight for every coin. Standing tall with a magic book in her arms, young Noelle makes her first ever request to go to a magic academy. Her mom sees the spark in her eyes and gives her the green light without a second thought. Growing up was not easy, but Noelle's mom made sure she always felt loved. Her gratitude for her mother far outweighs any loneliness she ever felt. Noelle is determined to grind hard so her mother can finally live the easy life. She drops a sudden emotional bomb about how happy she is. They move to the capital, catching her mom off guard. Her mom pours tea while they reminisce about their time apart. Between school and Noelle working at the guild after her mom got sick, they were rarely home together. It broke her mother's heart to see her daughter wearing herself out. But things are finally different now. They can finally sit down and enjoy a meal together without a single care in the world. Seeing Noel excited to head to work every morning is the greatest gift. Our girl is visibly moved, realizing just how much her happiness means to her mother. Mom mode kicks back in as she dreams about Noel finding a husband at the ball. She is already picturing grandkids while Noel just wants to focus on her actual job. Noelle is trying to practice her dance moves, but she looks more like a glitching video game character than a noble. Luke just watches her struggle, comparing her graceful performance to a fish flopping around on land. She tries to defend herself by saying commoners don't exactly have ballroom dancing on their daily schedule. Luke just sighs because he already knew this was going to be a disaster. Luke points out that Noelle was always a disaster at anything that didn't interest her. We see her failing table etiquette and non-magic exams while her teachers watch in horror. She claims she was at least trying her best back then. Luke admits her athletic ability is actually decent, which prompts Noelle to reveal her secret past. Apparently, she was known as the baddest girl in the West after she systematically took down every bully in the area. Seeing no other option, Luke decides to step in and give her a private lesson. Noelle is all in, immediately switching back to her high-energy mode as they get to work. The training session feels just like their old school days. This time, our girl is actually putting in the effort since her future depends on it. Thinking back to her childhood, she realizes that all those years of doing things she hated actually built her legendary stamina. Hard work pays off, even if it started with a lot of misery. Grinding pays off. If you stick with it, the results eventually show up. Noelle is feeling the weight of her training. Every failed attempt was just another step toward getting it right. Etiquette is handled, but the dancing is a lost cause. Our girl is currently a puddle on the floor because her coordination is non-existent. She wants to stay late and keep practicing, but Luke is not having it. He insists that getting some sleep is way more important for the big day. The nerves are finally hitting. She is terrified that her lack of skill will reflect poorly on him. Luke casually throws his coat over her to stop the spiral. He tells her that even if they fail, he will still consider it a win as long as they are together. He tells her to go home and eat with her mom. Once he is gone, she spots a book on the floor that he was clearly using in secret. The book is a dance instruction manual overflowing with handwritten sticky notes. Every page is densely packed with tips and corrections. The realization hits that Luke was grinding at home while she was busy failing. Noelle clenches her cloak, moved by the sheer amount of effort he put in for her sake. Doing nothing is no longer an option after seeing his dedication. She decides to push through one more practice session right after dinner. Under the moonlight, she vows to master the waltz before tomorrow. She is determined to show him that his hard work actually paid off. Preparation begins at the squad barracks where Letitia is already serving a high-class look. She looks every bit the mature woman in her elegant black gown. Luke even sent over a professional glam squad to help out, but Noelle thinks she has things under control. She insists on handling her own dress and makeup. The result is a total disaster involving a leopard print dress and double the usual padding. Letitia is stunned into silence by our girl's questionable idea of being a sexy adult lady. The pro glam squad takes over, stripping away the leopard print mess and those ridiculous pads. Luke gave strict orders to make sure she outshines everyone else at the party. She stands perfectly still while they fit her for a dress that actually matches her size. The experts explain that a proper fit and perfect balance are the secrets to a high-class look. Next is a full hair and makeup session to finish the transformation. They keep things looking natural. And finally, the maids announce that she is ready. Seeing the result in the mirror is a shock. It feels like looking at a completely different person. Twirling around the room makes her realize that makeup is the most powerful magic of all. Elsewhere, Luke is already dressed and waiting in the court mage's room. She enters with a challenge for him to acknowledge her true form. Luke keeps it cool and simply tells her she looks pretty. He admits that he actually likes the usual version of her better, which catches her totally off guard. She complains that he should show more interest in her beauty, but he shuts her down. Hand on the board, Gawain kicks off the security meeting. Every member has their position already mapped out for the ball. The third squad is taking the lead on this one. He stands tall as the commander of the entire operation. 5 adamantite mages are backing them up for this high-stakes job. Everyone needs to stay alert for anything at any time. It is not just about guarding VIPs. He reminds them that they are also protecting the families waiting for these guests to return home. With a loud shout of agreement, the pair prepares for deployment after being dismissed. Fingers clenching her dress, Noelle realizes this dream event is her first real mission. She tries to lock in before a hand suddenly pats her on the shoulder. Gawain tells her not to hold back since the squad is there to cover any mistakes. He gives her a confident smile and says he expects great things. The captain's praise has the energy at an all-time high while he heads out. There is no time for a victory lap though, as it is already time for the duo to make their move. Luke is ready to lead the way into the lion's den. With the partnership officially locked in, they set their sights on the palace gates to start the real work. Entering the royal ballroom is a total system shock for our girl. This is the legendary Ball of the Scarlet Roses, and it is even bigger than she ever imagined. Luke asks if she is holding up okay, but Noelle is already going through it. She starts smacking her own face to snap out of the daze. She has a mission to complete, and there is no way she is letting her captain down. They move deeper into the room where the noise is almost deafening. The pressure of the job is already starting to cook her brain. Looking around at all the high-class nobles, she is trying her best not to fall apart. Overthinking is definitely the biggest enemy right now. She is trying so hard to find someone suspicious that every single person in the room looks like a secret villain. Her head is spinning as she tries to make sense of the crowd. Seeing her struggle, Luke tells her not to worry because he will handle the security. He even throws a little shade by saying she probably would not spot a criminal anyway. Noelle is stunned by the total lack of faith in her rookie skills. That comment was the spark she needed. There's no way she is letting him win this one. She vows to find someone suspicious before Luke does, even if it is the last thing she ever does. Her imagination is already running wild with the glory of a successful mission. She is picturing a world where Luke admits defeat and her bosses shower her with praise. If she can just catch one bad guy, she will finally have that main character energy. Noelle is fully lost in a crazy power fantasy where she reigns supreme. She imagines everyone singing her praises as the most powerful mage to ever do it. Luke checks his watch and calls for a position change. He offers her a quick break, but she just hits him with a skeptical pout. The break room cannot come fast enough because these heels are fighting her. Her feet are pulsing in pain after all that walking, and she is barely hanging on. Luke calls her out on the weird daydream while checking in on her feet. She leans into the bit, promising to give him half the world if he stays grateful for her friendship. Our girl tries to lock in and fix her makeup despite the pain. Luke just keeps the shade coming, telling her he has zero faith in her ability to actually spot a criminal. A sudden scent of citrus and bergamot hits her out of nowhere. Her whole vibe shifts as she realizes this fragrance is a huge red flag. Dropping the act, she busts through the doors and screams for her partner. The mission just took a sharp turn into serious territory. Noelle breaks down the recipe for a sketchy magic cocktail, and it is not looking good. She caught the faint scent of a potion, and her internal alarm is going off. They burst into a room and find a veteran butler tied up like a holiday roast. Noelle realizes the culprit used a shape-shifting potion to steal his identity. Luke confirms the man is still breathing, but he is out cold. Noelle is left wondering why anyone would target a harmless servant. The plan is crystal clear now. If the fake butler spikes the wine with slow-acting poison, they can take out a high-value target without making a scene. Time is running out, so they divide and conquer. Luke orders Noel to cover the left side while they both sprint into action. Our girl is trying to chase a criminal, but those heels were not made for a tactical sprint. She makes a quick executive decision and yanks them right off. She thinks back to the team of maids who worked so hard to make her look like a princess. The beauty spell is officially over because it is time to save the day. Luke gives her a look and admits he actually likes the normal her better. She dumps the heels and shreds her expensive dress because fashion takes a back seat when lives are on the line. Remembering everyone who is counting on her, she locks in. Charging into the ballroom, she vows to stop this assassination at any cost. The stakes have never been higher. Guests are losing their minds over her torn outfit as she sprints through the crowd. She triggers a spell boost and turns into a blur. The room is packed, and she scans the faces for any sign of that fake butler. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Frustration starts to set in because there are just too many people in her way. Meanwhile, a tray of poisoned wine is already on the move. Her eyes lock onto the upper balcony where the target is in plain sight. She finally spots her man. She realizes that taking the traditional stairs will be way too slow to catch her target. She needs a shortcut to reach that upper balcony before the window of opportunity closes for good. Stealing her resolve, she decides to go for broke. She activates her magic barrier spell right in the middle of the crowded ballroom. She starts rapidly manifesting magic platforms in midair, creating a custom staircase for her assault. Luke spots her from the floor and immediately realizes she is about to do something reckless. Our girl knows this plan is absolutely mental and could end in a serious injury, but she is sending it anyway. Even though failure means a trip to the hospital, she is willing to take that chance to protect the mission. She thinks back to the people who believed in her when she was just a useless recruit. Their support is the only fuel she needs to pull off the impossible right now. With her invisible platforms finally in place, she focuses her remaining energy for the grand finale. It is all or nothing from here. Noelle doesn't do stairs. She triggers a massive wind blast under her feet to launch herself straight toward the VIP balcony. Sliding into the scene just in time, she screams for the guest to drop the wine before swatting the poisoned glass right out of her hand. The fake butler can only watch in shock as his perfect plan falls apart. The entire ballroom is in an uproar after seeing a girl literally fly across the room. Nobody can believe what they just witnessed. Luke just shakes his head, realizing she used a series of magic barriers and compressed air to pull off that reckless stunt. Our boy is stressed, because her lack of chill is truly off the charts. No time for explanations. She points a finger straight at the butler and exposes him as an assassin who used a shape-shifting potion to infiltrate the party. She finally lets out a sigh of relief, thinking she just saved the day. But her celebration is cut short when a squad of knights surrounds her with their blades drawn. Noelle is blindsided as a knight presses a cold blade right against her throat. He demands to know if she has any idea who she just disrespected while the Empress watches in shock from behind. It looks like the royal security has gotten the wrong idea about her heroic save. Noelle starts a mental letter to her mother, imagining herself as the star of a high-class ball in a stunning dress that most women can only dream of. She is finally at the Great Ball of the Scarlet Roses, ready to live out her main character fantasy in the most sparkling setting imaginable. But the dream turns into a nightmare as she ends up surrounded by royal guards with swords pointed at her throat like she is some kind of common criminal. The guard demands to know what she was trying to do to the Empress, while she panics because these foreign knights have no idea the court mages are actually on security duty. She tries to explain that she is actually a court mage, but the guards just call her a liar and a rugrat, which immediately triggers her short fuse. Just as the guard demands some actual proof, the suspicious butler from earlier starts making a move in the background. The assassin draws a hidden blade with unbelievable speed, proving he is definitely not some ordinary butler as he lunges forward. The assassin thinks he is the king of speed until Noelle triggers a spell boost to outrun him. Before he can even finish his sentence, she teleports behind him and delivers a heavy slam that sends him reeling. The royal knights are left in the dust, wondering how a rookie managed to bypass their entire line in a blink. Letitia watches from the background while the guards struggle to process her insane movement speed. Noelle keeps the pressure high by unleashing a series of air slashes to cut off his escape. This fake butler is clearly high level though, weaving through every single wind blade with supernatural agility. Our girl realizes she is up against a pro and decides her best bet is to stall for backup. The assassin just smirks at her effort before flashing a mysterious ring and asking if she can really handle his next trick. Raising his hand to the sky, he activates a dark magic called Shadowmaker that shakes the entire room with a roar. Something big is coming, and the vibe is getting dark fast. A literal army of shadow clones rises from the floor, surrounding the area in seconds. Noelle is completely blindsided because taking down one was hard enough, but now she is facing over a dozen of them. She focuses on the strange energy radiating from the killer's jewelry. It is clear that ring is no ordinary accessory, and she wonders if it is actually a rare dungeon relic. Dungeon relics like these are legendary for their raw power, but they are almost impossible to find. Our girl realized she was in over her head because every single shadow clone was just as dangerous as the original killer. She refused to back down and unleashed a massive airblade storm to hold the line. She turned into a one-woman army, shredding through the ranks of the shadows without breaking a sweat. The assassin was stunned that she could even keep up with a special grade relic like the Shadowmaker. This ring was worth enough to buy an entire country, making it one of the most valuable weapons in existence. He could not believe his eyes as a mere rookie continued to hold her own against such an overwhelming force. The assassin just grins in his butler disguise because he knows she is hitting her limit. He is convinced she cannot win. Noelle is sweating and gasping for air. She admits she is being overpowered. Her mana is running out and more clones keep spawning. She refuses to back down even as she collapses to the floor. Everything goes sideways as she realizes she is too slow to save the situation. She reaches out in a desperate attempt to stop them. A sudden bolt of lightning tears through the room. The Empress looks on in shock as a single step echoes across the floor. Luke finally makes his grand entrance, crackling with electricity. He stares down the enemy with a cold look. He immediately commands the guards to protect the Empress. He casually apologizes for being late while running onto the scene. Luke steps up just in time and Noelle is already ready to throw hands with the remaining shadow clones. She lets out a laugh and asks if they should finally finish these guys off. They take their positions back to back, moving in perfect sync. Luke tells her to cover his blind spot, and she is more than happy to handle her side of the room. It is a total magic show as Noelle unleashes an airblade, while Luke brings the thunder. The assassin can only watch in horror as his shadow army gets shredded by the duo. This dude is losing his mind because they are wiping out his clones faster than he can even summon them. He is shaking with fear, wondering what kind of monsters he just ran into. Seeing the writing on the wall, the fake butler tries to ninja his way out of there. Too bad for him, Luke is already right behind him with a cold grin, telling him he is not going anywhere. Mission accomplished. Gawain shows up to give the duo some praise while the assassin sits there tied up and toasted. The real butler is found safe. The Empress is unharmed and the dangerous dungeon relic is finally secured. It is a clean sweep for our rookie and her partner. Gawain gives the duo a major shout-out for their performance. He admits Noel totally crushed his expectations for her first day on the job. Noel looks back on the moment Luke rushed to her side first. He gives her a rare bit of praise, calling the mission a massive achievement. Feeling the hype, Noel reaches out to her partner with a big smile. She admits to herself that seeing him there actually made her pretty happy. They seal the deal with a celebratory high five. Noel is glowing with pride, though she is way too embarrassed to admit how much this moment means to her. Letitia shows up with drinks and more praise for their hard work. Noel immediately turns into a total fangirl the second her boss acknowledges her. The party is officially over as the ball gets cancelled following the attack. It is time for a debrief with the Royal Knights before they can finally call it a night. While Leticia asks them to push through the witness interviews, Luke gets low-key salty. He wonders why Noel is so obsessed with the vice captain after everything they just went through. Noel is totally cooked after a long night of questions. It is already midnight, and she is ready to call it a day. The palace gardens look totally different now that the party is over. Without the crowd, the vibe feels empty and dim. Standing by the massive fountain, it feels like they are the only two people left on the planet. Our girl suddenly stops and asks him if he wants to dance. Luke is caught off guard by the random request. She thinks a private dance in the middle of the night sounds like something out of a movie. She figures he will just call it nonsense, but she can't help being hyped. To her surprise, he actually agrees to it. Noel is ready to go and declares the plan officially settled. She jumps straight into action and grabs him without a second thought. Luke wonders if she even knows how to set a romantic mood. Luke laughs at her because she is so clueless about romantic vibes. He tells her to give him her hand and pulls her into a proper dance pose. He is genuinely surprised by her footwork and admits she has actually improved. Noel just laughs it off and brags about being a promising new talent. Even in the middle of a perfect moment, she realizes she hates just being led around. She is tired of always being the one following his lead. Standing under the moonlight by the fountain, she vows to one day stand by his side as a true equal. It might start small, but that is the person she is determined to become. Starting with a massive vibe check from Luke's past. A voice screams that if he is not the best, there is no point in him even being alive. From the time he was a toddler, his father hammered one rule into his head. He had to be better than everyone else, or he would never be acknowledged. To survive that pressure, he buried himself in stacks of books and worked until he was practically possessed. He was always the top student through sheer effort. Everyone in town showered him with praise for his magic talent and his family name. He was the perfect golden boy that everyone admired. The compliments from the crowd gave him some comfort, but they were just a distraction. Even when his father told him he did well, the pressure never truly stopped. He lived his life thinking his only value was being the number one. In his mind, failing to be the best meant he was completely worthless. Scene shift to the academy. Everything seemed perfect when he was accepted into the prestigious Royal Magic Academy as the top of his class. Young Luke stands alone with his results, realizing his perfect streak just came to a sudden end. Things were supposed to go his way, but the reality is much harsher. The entire class is in a state of shock because the rankings just shifted. Nobody can believe that a girl like Noel Springfield managed to take the #1 spot from the top student. Luke tries to act high and mighty by calling her a commoner, but Noel responds by dropping a physical reality check on his forehead. She is not about to let some noble talk down to her after she worked this hard. She tells him straight up that she is at this school because her mom is working herself to the bone to her. This is not just a game or a status symbol, it is her entire life. Noel points a finger right at him and declares war on his ego. She promises to keep kicking his ass every single time they compete until he finally gets the message. This dude refuses to accept defeat and decides to hit the books harder than ever before. He convinces himself that her victory was a complete fluke and that he can win through sheer volume of study. Back at the academy, Noel shows up with a stack of near-perfect grades to ruin his day again. She hits him with a massive taunt to show him that his noble blood does not mean anything against her results. Noel was officially feeling herself after that win and warned our boy to never call her a commoner again. On the side, Luke just stood there, taking his frustration out on his own notes. The loss was hitting different this time around. Being beaten in 2 subjects by the girl he looked down on was a bitter pill to swallow. His own inadequacy was starting to burn a hole in his chest. This dude became obsessed with getting his revenge and spent every waking second buried in books just to close the gap. It was a race for dominance that never stopped. The rivalry was slowly taking over his entire existence. Every goal he set was defined by where she was standing. He was basically living rent-free in a competition he could not win. 3 years had flown by at the academy, but the top spot was still out of reach. He just could not manage to sweep every single subject at once. A late-night snack run was supposed to be his only break from the books. That plan went out the window. The second, a loud smash echoed through the hallway. He peered around the corner and realized the shouting was coming from his own parents. His mother was completely devastated after discovering a betrayal that was years in the making. The family unit was officially fracturing right in front of him. His father did not care about the emotional wreckage he left behind, dismissing his wife's tears as nothing more than an unbecoming late-night disturbance. Watching his mother break down while his father spit out cold, self-centered excuses made Luke loathe the man with everything he had. He realized then that he had been a fool for ever seeking the approval of such a person. Even as the adults around him showered him with praise and called him a child prodigy, the words felt empty and meant nothing to him. He had worn himself to the bone trying to be perfect, but in the end, none of the effort felt like it was worth the cost. Just as he was hitting rock bottom and questioning the point of living, a certain commoner girl showed up to ruin his misery with her own academic struggles. He finally gave in and helped her study, which only encouraged her to start following him around like a lost puppy. Noelle is putting in the hours while everyone else thinks she is just coasting. Luke finally sees through her casual attitude and starts helping her master the heavy magic theory. Her teaching game is actually elite, making even the hardest subjects feel like common sense. She has a way of connecting the dots that he never even considered. It turns out her success came from sheer persistence rather than luck. Luke finally stops pretending to be a prodigy and admits he has been faking the genius bit this whole time. He is drowning in self-doubt and thinking his life is worthless without academic perfection. She cuts through the drama by telling him his struggle is actually his best quality. The competition is just getting started and she is hyped to have someone grinding alongside her. Her energy is contagious, giving him the spark he needed to stop moping. She seals the deal with a handshake and a promise to keep pushing each other. Luke is officially malfunctioning, his brain completely fried by a sudden rush of genuine affection. He is comparing her warmth to the freezing shadow his father always left him in. He knows he should not be catching feelings for a commoner, but his heart is not listening to the rules anymore. By the time he realized what was happening, he was already caught up in his feelings for her. It felt like a joke that the son of a duke would fall for a commoner. Even if he confessed, the gap in their social status made a real future together feel impossible. He told himself they would eventually have to part ways. Then she came crashing into his morning with enough energy to shatter his gloomy thoughts. He knew he needed to let go of these feelings before they got too deep, but despite knowing better, he ended up chasing after her anyway. As the fastest rising star in history, he probably should have stayed focused. Instead, he ignored every objection from the higher-ups just to bring her into his world. He did not care about titles or rules as long as she was there with him. This was the one thing in his life he was never going to surrender. He knows she probably just sees him as a close friend, and his feelings might stay one-sided. Even so, he is not ready to let go of the bond they share. She finally stops playing it safe and drops the biggest truth bomb of the entire series, because, I love you. The scene shifts to the Lavatia Mages Guild, where the vibe is already toxic. The guildmaster is screaming his lungs out because production is falling way behind schedule. It turns out he is groveling to a high-ranking noble and promised an insane 2-week deadline he cannot meet. He is terrified of failing this deal and losing his reputation. He turns that fear into pure rage and points at a box with only 3 crystal balls in it. He demands to know who is responsible for this disaster. Back in the workshop, the employees are getting roasted by the higher-ups. A young girl tries to apologize, but the bosses tell her that her sorry is not going to fix their broken quota. The boss goes low and compares her to the lying girl they fired earlier, referring to Noelle. Our boy is not having it though, clenching his fist as he prepares to finally speak up. He finally snaps and tells them exactly who is to blame for the failure. Instead of pointing at the laborers, he points straight at himself and the 2 suits standing in front of him. He admits his own part in the mess, but drops a truth bomb about the management. He tells them they have zero clue what it is actually like to work in these brutal conditions. The boss completely loses his cool, screaming that this dude's supposed incompetence is a one-way ticket to getting fired. Instead of flinching, the worker just shrugs and tells him to go ahead and do it. The rest of the crew follows suit and slams their resignation letters onto the desk, revealing they were already planning to leave. They let him know that Noelle was the only reason they stuck around, since she was the one secretly carrying the entire production on her back. It turns out no one was actually scared of the management. They just stayed because they were genuinely moved by her hustle. The boss starts to panic as the weight of the looming deadline settles in, finally realizing he just threw away his most valuable asset. He tries to play nice and asks if they can at least finish the current order before they walk out. The workers are grinning ear to ear as they look at their terrified boss. One of them hits him with the ultimate sarcasm, telling him that doing all the work himself shouldn't be a problem at all. The boss stands there frozen while the entire crew walks out, leaving him to handle the deadline with the brilliant managers he chose over them. A single crystal ball rolls across the floor as they slam the door and leave him with nothing. Cut to Noelle, who randomly lets out a sneeze so big it looks like it hurt. She wonders if someone is gossiping about her, but she's too busy enjoying the bakery vibes to care. She tells the shopkeeper that getting up early is a cakewalk compared to the hell she went through at her old job. Strolling through the streets with a fresh roll in hand, she's living her best life. Fresh bread in the morning is the kind of luxury she could only dream of before. She stops to check her reflection in a window, still geeking out over her official court mage uniform. This was her childhood dream, and seeing it in the mirror makes it finally feel real. If she wants to keep this new life, she knows she has to be the hardest worker on the team. She starts sprinting toward the palace, determined to be the first one to clock in. Our girl kicks the door down, ready to claim her title as the first one in, but Luke is already standing there like he never left. "Alright, I'm the first one here, Toad," she starts, but his good morning shuts her down instantly. Excuses start flying the moment she realizes her perfect attendance record is actually just a misunderstanding. Luke is not buying the act, though, pointing out that she has been getting the time wrong every single day this week. The cold stare comes out as he reminds her that scheduled hours are a thing for a reason. Noelle is left standing there like a stunned chibi, while Bro drops the "I told you so" hammer. Total surrender. She accidentally confesses her entire strategy of overworking just so they will feel too bad to fire her. Luke is actually impressed by the sheer honesty behind her desperate plan to keep her job. Luke lays down the law with a mandatory leave early order to counter her frantic energy. Noelle is left completely defeated, realizing she has finally found a boss who is too wholesome to exploit her. Deep down, she is still haunted by her old job where she was treated like a useless background character. She activates a spell boost and goes into overdrive, convinced that if she is not indispensable, she is as good as gone. The senior officers walk in to find the entire building glowing from her cleaning spree. They cannot even be mad at her for overworking when the results are this spotless, even if they are worried about her burning out. Hearing all the thanks for being a big help has the mood feeling top tier. It is the kind of validation she never thought she would get. She realizes that a workplace which actually values hard work is a total dream come true. It is a massive glow-up compared to her old bosses who just threw insults her way. The trauma returns in an instant when Gawain mentions today is her last day. She feels the past coming back to haunt her as the words trigger a total breakdown. Plot twist of the century: instead of getting the boot, Gawain officially promotes her to Emerald class and leaves her brain in a total state of shock. Skipping 2 whole ranks is a power move that places her way above the standard entry-level mages. Gawain makes it clear that her work ethic earned this sudden jump in status. This new rank officially makes her a high-ranking officer in a system where most mages never leave the bottom tiers. The shiny new pocket watch is the physical proof that she finally made it to the top. Looking at the emerald set into her new gear, she hears the captain tell her to have some actual confidence. Knowing the Empress herself praised her magic is the ultimate seal of approval. Gawain explains that grunt work is officially off the menu. Any future chores are going on the clock since the squad believes in paying for overtime. Noelle tries to claim she was just doing it for her own sake, but he is not buying the excuse. A swift head pat ends the argument before it starts. Fair pay for hard work is the squad policy, and he hands her a personal envelope. She immediately starts wondering if the captain just dropped a secret letter in her lap. 5 giant silver coins fall into her hands, but her brain takes a wild detour. She tries to reject a love letter he never wrote, leaving him to clarify it is just a well-earned bonus. Thumbs up and a friendly smile are all the encouragement she needs. Hearing her full name come from someone she respects is a win. Her response is short and sweet. The validation from a superior makes the whole struggle worth it. Time for a celebration with the spirits. She is riding high on her promotion and cash, already wondering how Luke is going to handle her success. Luke reveals he secured a bonus too, but his 4 silver coins do not stand a chance. Her mood flips instantly as she celebrates a rare financial win over her rival. He admits skipping 2 ranks is actually insane, which is all the fuel she needs. She puffs her chest out and tells him to start trembling before her absolute greatness. The flex continues as he mentions almost nobody moves that fast through the ranks. He sets the stage by mentioning only one person has ever done it better, and she is all ears for the reveal. The smug look on his face says everything as he reveals he is the one with the faster record. Her confidence literally snaps in half as he pulls the ultimate power move. Realizing she is back in second place is a total gut punch. He tries to play it off as a compliment, but calling her incredible for being right behind him is just savage. Time for a serious grind as she aggressively pulls a massive spellbook from the shelf. She declares that her entire morning is going into intensive training. She decides to study right in his face just to keep the pressure on. The plan is to make him work in fear while she prepares to finally surpass him. Luke just laughs off her competitive streak with a smirk. He is totally unfazed as he pours some tea while Noelle declares she is winning the next round no matter what. Cut to the Magic Craftsman Guild where the energy is stressed. The guildmaster is losing his mind on a tired worker to finish the project before the deadline. He looks at a tiny tray of crystal balls and realizes they barely made any progress. Then he sees the mountain of work Noel finished solo and starts questioning reality. He starts coping, asking if the girl had secret help from the other staff. The tired worker shuts that down immediately, confirming she did the whole mountain by herself. The workers drop the bombshell that she was using advanced magic just to pick up their slack. The guildmaster finally realizes he fired a top-tier academy graduate who was carrying the entire business. The gravity of the situation finally sinks in as he looks like he just saw a ghost. His staff asks the obvious question if they just messed up big time. Pure panic mode as he screams for his men to find her and bring her back at any cost. Meanwhile, Noel is living her best life and destroying a massive plate of food without a care in the world. Letitia stops by with a request while Noel is buried in paperwork. A favor is on the table, and it is definitely not what our girl expected. Grunt work was the plan, but Letitia has something much bigger in mind. She wants Noel to help out the magic medicine research unit. This is no cleaning job. Shock sets in as Noel realizes she is being sent to the 5th Squad's elite unit. Only the best mages get into this special division. It is filled with experts who have a high aptitude for medicine. Letitia brings up how she spotted that shape-shifting potion at the Great Ball. Even with the praise, Noel starts to slump under the pressure. Expertise in potions actually came from a phase where she wanted to look like an adult woman. Letitia just laughs it off and gives her a head pat. Encouragement is all it takes for Noel to find her spirit again. She promises to make the squad proud and charges off toward the new lab. Letitia is vibing on the sidelines. Chaos is everywhere. She thinks a chill environment is best for Noel while she finds her footing. Flashback to an hour ago. 3rd Squad office. Letitia checks in with Captain Gawain about the new request for help. Gawain is down to help, but he drops a bombshell. Someone important is trying to headhunt Noel. The reveal is wild. Prince Michael wants her for his personal squad. Letitia is shook. This is the King's Guard. Only the most elite of the elite get in there. They have been scouting her since she was a rookie. Even though she is 5 ranks below the requirement, the prince is throwing the rulebook away to recruit her. Letitia is not thrilled. She clenches her fist, worrying that a high-pressure unit is way too much for her girl. It is a high-stakes promotion that would make anyone jealous. But she is way too green for this level of responsibility. She just got here, and the pressure is already piling up. Prince Michael is a genius respected across borders, and when a guy like that bends the rules to scout you, a rejection is basically impossible. Letitia is already feeling the sting of losing her favorite rookie, wondering exactly when the transfer is supposed to happen. But Gawain has other plans. He casually drops the news that he rejected the offer, leaving Letitia in shock. He walks away without a care in the world. Letitia is spiraling because one wrong move with the prince could land him in a jail cell. Gawain knows Noel is capable, but he only does what he thinks is right for her growth. He believes she needs the freedom to make mistakes and learn the ropes before being thrown into the elite King's Guard. Gawain gives her a casual thumbs up, confirming the prince agreed with his assessment. Noel lets out a heavy sigh of relief, knowing her commander always has her back. He is the kind of leader who will risk his own neck for everyone else without a second thought. A man who puts himself in harm's way so his squad never has to. The 3rd Squad is more unified than any other unit because of this man's philosophy. He builds a team that capitalizes on individual strengths, rewards every success, and never blames his people for their failures. Even with his reckless reputation, Noel realizes he is a man she can deeply respect. But the heroic vibe does not last long. The legendary commander leans in with a sweaty smile to ask for a loan because he spent his whole paycheck treating the rookie to a steak dinner. Letitia is ashamed as she berates him for going broke a week before payday again. Elsewhere, Noel arrives at the 5th Squad research lab to help out. She gives the door a polite knock, but only a heavy silence answers from the other side. She peeks inside to find a real war zone of overworked researchers screaming about missing documents and water changes. The crew looks like they are on the verge of a breakdown until they realize their reinforcements from the 3rd Squad have finally arrived. Noel meets the leader of the research unit who looks like he has not slept in 3 years. He introduces himself as the captain while wondering why the squad sent him a child. He quickly breaks down the crisis. A major epidemic in the north has the squad working overtime, and they are desperately short-handed on magic medicine. Since the captain is in a rush, he tells her to just help out wherever she can. Noel does not miss a beat and slips on a lab coat. The lab is total chaos. Researchers are screaming about mountains of paperwork and missing magic crystals while Noel just stands there soaking in the madness. It is time to get to work. She activates her spell boost and locks in with a scary level of focus. She suddenly appears with a full box of crystals and tells the staff she will swap them immediately. The researcher can barely process how she moved that fast. Our girl is carrying the entire department on her back, from prepping rare herbs to serving tea. She is handling every single chore before anyone can even ask. Noelle admits the science is beyond her, but her specialty is the grunt work she mastered at her old guild. She stays 5 steps ahead of every researcher in the room. She is basically a blur as she carries the workload of a dozen people at once. The team is floored by how informed she is. She has already prepped the next round of ingredients before they even ask. Rumors start spreading about the legendary rookie from the third squad. They cannot believe the girl who passed the bloody exam is standing right in front of them. Noelle manages potion timers and stacks of paperwork with robotic precision. Chaotic piles are transformed into neat, organized stacks in seconds. The board says it all. After the rush is over, the unit captain bows his head in gratitude to his savior. He is nearly in tears as he grabs her shoulders. They were on the verge of a total breakdown until she walked through the door. The whole squad is nearly in tears as they wave her off. They are so grateful for the help, but Noelle just plays it cool and says it was nothing. Seeing their smiles gives her the ultimate warm, fuzzy feeling. She is genuinely relieved that her grunt work skills actually came in handy. Just as she is about to leave, the lead researcher catches her with a serious question. He has something important he needs to discuss. Back at the main office, Luke is busy grinding through his tasks while glancing at his watch. The silence is suddenly shattered by a violent knock and a door slam that interrupts his peace. Noelle kicks the door open and announces her grand return. She is glowing with the kind of confidence you only get after a major win. She starts gloating about how the elite medicine unit practically begged her to join their ranks. Luke just listens while sipping his tea, clearly impressed by her newfound fame. He sets the teapot down and looks her in the eye. He finally asks the big question of whether she actually took the deal. She turns down the invite to join the research squad for good. The unit captain respects her choice and lets her know they will always have a spot for her. Memories of the old days show just how much she sacrificed for her career. She used to convince herself that constant isolation was just the price of following her path. Life at the court is the polar opposite of her toxic past. Getting genuine thanks from everyone she helps makes her realize she has finally found her people. She finally makes peace with her history and treats the guild as a necessary training arc. Every struggle was a stepping stone to the person she has become. With her new squad at her back, she is ready to let the world know she is actually happy. She has found her place and she is not taking it for granted. None of this would be possible without the helping hand that pulled her out of the darkness. That one moment of support was the catalyst for everything. She gives all the credit to her best friend for being her anchor. Luke was the one who changed her entire trajectory. Repaying him for everything is her top priority now. Luke leans in, curious about what she actually told the research squad, but she just gives him a playful tease. At the end of the day, her only goal is to keep doing her best right by his side. Noelle is putting in overtime at the Royal Library but finds herself vertically challenged. A tall shadow looms over her and grabs the book she's been reaching for. Luke hands over the prize while Noelle sulks about her height, eventually offering a reluctant thanks. He can already tell she's overthinking the situation. Seeing the mountain of books she wants to borrow, Luke asks if she's serious. Noelle explains that being here is a dream come true, and she's barely even started. She hugs the volume with pure joy, confirming her deep love for magic literature. It's the most wholesome vibe of the day. The peace is shattered when Luke asks her to choose between books and a plate of high-quality meat. Noelle looks like her entire worldview just collapsed. This dilemma is so heavy, it literally drops her to the floor. She begs for a timeout while Luke tells her to take all the time she needs. While Noelle dreams of a meat book loophole, Luke watches her with a soft expression. He whispers a quiet wish that he could be her top choice one day. Luke shows up at the library to discuss their next assignment. He even offers to carry her books like a true gentleman. The word job immediately sends Noelle into hype mode. She is ready to crush whatever mission they get while Luke handles the heavy lifting. They are headed to the Misty Forest to investigate some low-ranking monsters. The place is a ghost town for adventurers because of the thick fog and zero visibility. Noelle starts overthinking the logic. It does not add up why high-ranking court mages are being sent to clear out a low-risk area. The plot thickens when Luke reveals the Royal Knights are also moving out. This simple investigation is starting to look like a major operation. Prince Michael is personally calling the shots on this one. Luke realizes this is going to be a much more thorough investigation than they expected. It turns out the prince personally appointed them to the mission. Noelle has a sudden light bulb moment and assumes it is just because she is his official partner. Noelle was feeling special until Luke dropped the news that he was handpicked too. It turns out the prince wanted both of them on this mission. Our girl is completely stunned and wonders if her ball performance was that iconic. Luke confirms the prince was dead set on having him there. She shifts into high gear immediately and vows to live up to the hype. Luke just watches her with a blank stare as she prepares to carry the team. Luke is deep in thought about the prince's real motives. Meanwhile, Noelle is already making herself at home and tells him exactly where to dump the books. She hits him with the most wholesome smile for the help. Luke tries to play it cool while walking away with a total blush on his face. The mission is officially underway. A joint force of mages and knights rolls out of the capital as the sun starts to rise. The travel vibes are actually pretty chill. Noelle is just focused on her snacks while the wagons make steady progress toward the forest. Luke is really leaning into his role as the squad leader. He manages the older members with total confidence. Noelle can't help but feel proud of how much he's leveled up. Luke expects some jitters since it's her first expedition, but Noelle is trying to keep it together. She's banking on the fact that they've got serious backup for this supposedly simple mission. Their main ally today is Bismarck, a veteran who used to be part of the prince's inner circle. The prince personally chose this specific team for the mission. This revelation is enough to make Noelle forget all about her snack. Something about this lineup doesn't add up at all. Even Luke admits that the prince's choices make the whole investigation feel suspicious. A legendary guard and 2 high-level combat mages is a lot of firepower for a simple walk in the woods. The prince is clearly planning for a real fight. It is becoming clear that this squad is way overqualified for a simple investigation. The prince has packed some serious combat power for a mission that was supposed to be easy. Luke leans back in the carriage, wondering what kind of danger could possibly be waiting for them in the misty forest. Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to the capital where things are getting noisy in front of the royal palace. The guildmaster and his assistant finally pull up, staring at the massive building in shock as they realize where Noelle ended up. They start whispering about whether a girl as useless as Noelle could really be working in a place like this. A guard steps up immediately to shut down their snooping. The assistant holds up a sketchy drawing of her, but the guard refuses to leak any info. Even a direct bribe with a shiny silver coin does not make him budge. The guard chases them off like a couple of creeps. They end up gasping for air in a nearby alley, frustrated that their bribe failed so miserably. The guildmaster decides they have to play detective and start a stakeout. He orders his assistant to keep watch and crank out crystal balls while he gets a loud yes in return. They hunker down in the bushes to spy on the palace. Through the binoculars, they spot court mages everywhere, but finding their target is turning into a massive headache. The search is coming up empty, and the boss starts thinking their star employee played them. The vice guildmaster is literally collapsing from the stress of it all. A wild theory starts cooking in the guildmaster's head. He starts wondering if Noelle actually made those crystal balls alone or if she was pulling a long con on them the whole time. He stops the search and starts booking it back to headquarters. The assistant is left scrambling, wondering what kind of crazy plan his boss has cooked up now. With a villainous smirk, the guildmaster decides that if a useless girl could fool the world, they can do it even better. They vanish into the city, ready to start their own scheme. Cut back to our girl Noelle, who lets out a massive sneeze out of nowhere. Luke asks if she is catching a cold, but she knows exactly what is up because someone is definitely talking trash behind her back. The squad heads into the misty forest on foot. The commander gives a stern warning for everyone to report in the second they start feeling sick. Visibility is essentially zero. Noelle realizes the fog is way thicker than expected, making everyone around her look like shadowy ghosts. The ground is a mess, and Noelle loses her footing on the slick mud. Before she can hit the dirt, Luke reacts in a flash and catches her in his arms. Talk about a romantic save. Luke warns her to be careful on the mud while a blushing Noelle manages a quick thank you. Luke takes charge by conjuring a light orb to lead the way. He tells the squad to use their magic as a beacon so nobody gets left behind in the soup. Noelle finds herself staring at his hands and realizing just how much he has grown. Compared to their academy days, her anchor is looking more like a man every day. Commander Bismarck is not liking the vibe one bit. He has scouted this place dozens of times, but the fog has never been this thick or unnatural. Noelle offers to blow the fog away since she is a wind magic specialist, but Luke shuts it down. He wants to stay on the down low and gather info first so they do not alert whatever is causing the mist. Noelle realizes the fog is not natural and guesses it is actually water magic. Luke nods and agrees that is the most likely explanation for what they are seeing. Noelle casts a search spell to scan the woods for any life signs. It looks empty at first, but she quickly catches a trail and calls Luke over to check it out. The group finds a massive patch of footprints stamped into the mud. Luke takes one look and realizes a whole horde of goblin lords passed through here recently. These dudes are elite magic spawns that have high leadership skills and support spells. They are officially ranked as a level 5 threat, which is a serious problem for most squads. Bismarck is not breaking a sweat though. He points out that even a large group of these elites would be light work for high-rank adventurers. Luke decides their squad has enough firepower to steamroll anything in their path. He gives Noelle the green light to clear the area, and she summons a massive gust of wind magic to blow the mist away. Noelle scans the trees but cannot see a single target. Luke steps up and drops a dispel spell to reveal the truth. Turns out the entire forest was hidden behind a concealment spell this whole time. Bismarck draws his sword as the vibe gets heavy. The squad prepares for impact while the ground begins to shake. A massive foot slams down and rattles the entire forest. Our boy freezes in place as he gets a clear look at the monster. This thing is a nightmare-fueled mess with drool hanging from its jagged teeth. Noel and the others look up at the threat towering over them. A giant goblin towers over a massive army of smaller monsters. This is a goblin emperor, and the scale of this threat is on a whole different level. The tiny grunts below it make the boss look even more terrifying. The squad freezes as a massive foot slams into the ground right in front of them. Noel stares up in shock, realizing this thing is definitely not a standard goblin lord. This is the highest rank of monster, a level 8 threat known as a goblin emperor. It lets out a deafening roar while the ground continues to shake from its sheer power. Noel throws up a barrier as the squad realizes one hit from this monster would be game over. They decide to keep their distance and attack before the giant can close the gap. It is not just the big guy they have to worry about, as an entire army of smaller goblins starts crawling out of the shadows. The odds are looking pretty bad as the squad tries to figure out a plan. The number of monsters is way too high even for an emperor, which explains why the prince sent such a heavy-hitting squad for a simple investigation. High concentrations of magic can spawn mutants that are way more dangerous than normal monsters. The squad leader warns everyone that they are dealing with a rare variant. The threat level for a mutant goblin emperor is over 10, meaning this thing can single-handedly wipe a whole city off the map. The elite squad is paralyzed by the sheer size of the army. If they do not move now, they are basically goblin food. Then, a heavy thud breaks the silence as Luke takes the first step. Noel is not about to let fear win. She pumps her fist and lets out a battle cry to snap everyone back to reality. Let us go. Luke is right behind her, ready for action. The rest of the squad is stunned that a rookie is the one leading the charge. Without a second thought, she sprints straight toward the enemy lines. Facing an ocean of monsters is way out of her league, but backing down is not an option. She starts stacking high-level buffs, activating spell boost and mana recharge all at once. Fear is a luxury she does not have while using a goblin head as a stepping stone. She needs maximum efficiency, so she baits the horde into surrounding her until the very last second. Just as they close in, she unleashes a wind blast that sends them flying. It is the perfect trap to clear the field. The path is finally open, and she is not wasting a single second. She slides through the smoke and fixes her eyes on the prize. This will end it. She pours everything into her final move. A large airblade storm erupts, shredding the boss in a whirlwind of magic. The side mages are losing their minds over how Noel can spam high-level spells like it is nothing. They thought her attack would be the finisher, but the smoke tells a different story. The massive boss just shrugged off her best move like it was a mosquito bite. The Emperor is still standing tall, and the pressure is starting to mount. High-power magic comes with a long cooldown, leaving Noel completely exposed to the approaching horde. She is a sitting duck until her mana resets. A massive lightning blitz suddenly clears the field without even singeing a hair on her head. Luke is back in action with a kind of surgical precision that makes him a genius. Luke steps in to hold the line while Noel catches her breath. He is taking over the front line so she can focus on her next big play. They spent years clashing over their different magic styles, but those differences are finally paying off. They have become the perfect balance of raw power and calculated control. They are so in sync that words are not even necessary anymore. The commander rallies the troops to keep the path clear while the duo prepares to end the fight. Luke shouts the command for the court mages to open fire. A massive wave of magic circles erupts into a series of explosions as they lay into the beast. Noel watches the sheer power of the coordinated attack in shock. Even after all that firepower, a dark silhouette remains standing in the center of the smoke. The monster's glowing eyes loom through the haze, completely unfazed. The squad is stunned that their combined magic didn't even leave a single scratch. The boss lets out a massive roar that shakes the ground and echoes through the trees. Luke stays calm and analyzes the situation while the others panic. He concludes that the monster's skin has mutated to be completely resistant to magic, making brute force useless. A close-range fight is off the table because of the enemy's insane power and reach. Noel suggests calling for backup, but Luke tells her not to worry because he is already ahead of the game. He has a plan to take this thing down before it can cause any more damage. The Emperor grips a massive tree trunk like a club, while our boy starts his next move. The idea is for Noel to focus her highest firepower directly on the creature's eyes. Magic should be way more effective on its soft spots than that tough, mutated hide. Luke finishes laying out the strategy and tells Bismarck to go all in once the target is blinded. The veteran commander gives a firm nod, fully on board with the plan. Bismarck clenches his fist and reminds everyone he didn't become a royal commander by accident. He is locked in and ready to carry his weight. The stakes finally sink in as Noel realizes one single mistake could end them all. The rest of the squad holds the line while she prepares for the most important shot of her life. Noel blocks out the noise and begins stacking her buffs for maximum impact. She is dumping every bit of mana she has into this next multicast move. The plan works perfectly as a wind blast catches the monster directly in the eyes. Luke is hyped to see the distraction land exactly where they needed it, leaving the beast wide open. Bismarck doesn't waste a second and charges in with insane speed. Noelle stays on top of her game and tosses a spell boost his way to maximize the damage of the opening. A massive vertical strike cuts right through the monster's defense. Luke watches the teamwork pay off as the squad finally starts making real progress against the giant. Luke drops a paralyzer lightning directly on the wound to save energy. The monster screams in pain as the shock hits home. Noelle watches the display, stunned by the sheer precision of the play. Bismarck yells for everyone to go all in and end the fight right now. Luke and Noel share a look, knowing it is time to turn up the heat. They plant their feet and prepare to unleash everything they have. The duo syncs up for a combo move. A wind blast and lightning blitz strike the target at the same time, shredding the creature's defenses. Noelle notices her own magic feels way more accurate than usual. She realized that watching the way Luke handles his mana is actually helping her improve on the fly. It turns out, seeing his flash of inspiration earlier gave her the blueprint she needed. As a magic fanatic, she respects the control he has over his elements. She knows that kind of mastery doesn't come naturally, picturing him buried under mountains of books and research. Luke is a genius, but his grind is even faster than his talent, making him a tough act to follow. Even with that gap between them, her determination stays solid. She refuses to give up and is ready to keep pushing her own limits. Noelle looks back on her history with Luke and realizes the rivalry is far from over. If he is aiming for the top tier, she is going to be right there with him. Noelle was so hyped she nearly sent Luke flying with a victory smack to the back. He just took the hit in stride, realizing that if she was going to keep leveling up at this rate, he would have to as well. On the forest floor below, the massive Goblin Emperor lay smoking and defeated as the rest of the unit finally closed in. Back at the capital, the scene shifts to a grand palace. Bismarck takes a knee before the prince to deliver the full report on their latest mission. The veteran knight is all praise for our girl. He reports that even when facing a mutant threat, her heart never wavered and her power was undeniable. It was not just about the raw damage. Bismarck explains how her tactical sense allowed her to read his movements and provide the perfect assistance at every turn. Hearing this from a knight who is second only to the master swordsman really confirms the hype. The prince realizes she possesses a rare instinct that normal mages lack. The prince stares out the window with a confident smirk. She exceeded even his highest expectations, and he is definitely intrigued to see her next move. The prince wraps things up for now, but Bismarck is already on edge. He mentions another incident is looming on the horizon, leaving the veteran knight wondering what he knows. Bismarck asks if they should try drafting her into the King's Guard again. The prince just declines, knowing her recent performance has already guaranteed her a major promotion. Connecting the dots reveals a sketchy pattern between the assassination plot on the Empress, the Northern Plague, and that weird mutant goblin. Nothing feels like an accident anymore. This dude thinks everything is moving a little too perfectly. He looks at his map and predicts the next disaster is going to hit in the west, treating the whole kingdom like a high-stakes board game. With a pawn in hand, the prince looks like he's watching his favorite show. He is genuinely excited to see what kind of wild performance Noel is going to put on next. On their way back to the guild, the wheels are spinning as the guildmaster lets out a shady laugh. The vice guildmaster asks if he is really serious about heading back to the workshop. He has a plan to buy up all the best crystal balls in the entire region. The scheme is to polish them by hand and then pass them off as their own original masterpieces. His assistant can only look on in a cold sweat as the fraud unfolds. Looking at the finished product, the results are undeniable. The assistant is stunned by the glow, while the boss is clearly satisfied with his new shortcut to success. These are way more beautiful than anything the guild has ever produced. The guildmaster is quick to take all the credit for the idea. He acts like stooping to manual labor is a huge sacrifice for someone of his rank. Plus, buying those items ready-made was a massive hit to the guild budget. They are aiming to impress the Oswald company with their new stock. The boss refuses to let any losers from his past ruin his life now that he has a winning plan. The guildmaster raises a glass with a shady grin, convinced that only the most cunning people come out on top. In his mind, he is destined to rise above everyone else. Cut to the capital, where a high-ranking official delivers some life-changing news. Noelle has officially been promoted straight to the 6th class bronze rank. Noelle is absolutely beaming as she receives the news. She gives the official a deep bow to show just how much she appreciates the recognition. This is the second time she's managed to jump 2 ranks at once. Clutching her hands together, she realizes she is finally one step closer to her ultimate goal. The official explains that her performance with the research unit and her success against the Goblin Emperor were both legendary. Word has clearly spread that she was the MVP of those missions. He adds that even the 5th squad captain couldn't stop talking about her talent. Noelle gets so hyped she starts doing a little victory dance, promising to help them out whenever they need it. Things get a bit awkward when he points out she's not making a weird face this time. He's referencing her last promotion when she was totally stunned, leaving her screaming in embarrassment. Gawain praises her growth, but our girl starts panicking about getting a big head. She literally starts smacking her own cheeks to stay humble while she focuses on her new goals. Noelle tries to keep her big dream a secret to avoid being laughed at, but Gawain reads her like an open book. He correctly guesses she wants to become a magus, leaving her totally frozen. Back at the desk, Gawain explains she is way too easy to read since she has been watching him so closely. He even apologizes for being the center of her attention. Assuming this is a romantic confession, Noel goes into a full panic and rejects him on the spot. She claims a lover would only slow her down while Gawain screams that he is not interested like that. Gawain tells her to save that drama for someone else while Luke catches a random sneeze in the distance. He notes that she has been on a serious grind ever since the Goblin Emperor fight. Between her constant spellbook reading and the extra training, her ambition was obvious. The way she keeps trying to compete with Luke was the final clue for her mentor. Looking down at her hands, she admits that aiming for Luke's level feels like reaching for the stars. She is surprised to realize how much her captain has actually been watching over her. Gawain shuts down her self-doubt immediately. He tells her it is actually great to aim high, leaving our girl completely stunned. He clenches his fist with a confident grin. If a goal feels like it is beyond reach, that just means it is something truly incredible. A quick look back at her old fears, she used to be terrified of people laughing at her for trying way too hard. Gawain gives her a vote of confidence that genuinely catches her off guard. She is honestly shocked to get this much backup from a high-level mage. They seal the deal with a solid fist bump. Noelle is fired up and ready to grind, but her captain has one little detail to add. The cool vibe dies instantly when Gawain admits he is actually broke until payday. Noelle is already dreaming about a meat feast, but he points out her appetite would probably bankrupt him anyway. Back at the castle, Noelle tracks down Letitia and catches her breath just long enough to ask for a massive favor. Noelle leans in with pure fire, demanding a specialized training program. Letitia is completely caught off guard by the sudden energy. Taking down a Goblin Emperor is basically legendary status, and our girl has already jumped 4 ranks in record time. Her mentor realizes she is aiming for the top. Noelle is practically glowing with determination, making it impossible to say no. Letitia agrees to help her train, leaving the rookie absolutely hyped. Word travels fast and the squad is stunned to hear about another promotion. A few more mages jump into the conversation, offering to help our girl reach the next level. Rapid success usually brings out the haters, but Noelle is just vibing in the center of the crowd. She brushes off the shrimpy comments while everyone else cheers her on. While Noelle naturally draws people in, the guy she is chasing is the total opposite. Luke Waldstein stands alone, a stark contrast to the lively circle surrounding her. Luke spent years keeping everyone at a distance, treating social life as a waste of time. He focused only on the grind, earning respect through cold efficiency rather than friendship. Flashback to 3 years ago, back when everyone viewed Luke as a machine optimized for nothing but success. Letitia catches him grinding through his off hours and calls him out for working overtime again. She is tired of him skipping his rest and demands he stop ruining his health. Luke shuts her down instantly, saying his personal well-being does not matter compared to his goals. He has priorities that make his own physical limits look like a joke. As the next head of the Waldstein family, he carries a level of pressure that would break most people. The weight of his lineage means there is zero room for failure. Letitia sighs at the noble drama but still feels a duty to supervise him as his superior. Later that night, he sits alone under the full moon with nothing but his work to keep him company. She tracks him down with a drink and calls him out for looking pale. He takes the gift and mumbles a rare word of thanks. It feels like trying to feed a stray cat that refuses to acknowledge her. She finds herself stuck with the job of forcing him to eat whenever she is around. It is hard to understand why someone with his natural gift would ever feel the need to rush. With talent like that, success should be guaranteed, yet he acts like he is running out of time. He is gone in a flash, headed for the training grounds even though it is already pitch black outside. She is left wondering why he can't just listen for once, but a small notebook left on the floor quickly catches her attention. The notebook carries the prestigious Waldstein name, but the real secrets are tucked between the pages. A stack of old photos falls out, revealing a younger Noelle from back in their academy days. These are not just casual snapshots, they are worn out and scratched from being carried around for years. This is not some simple memory. It is a devotion that has been burning since the very beginning. Suddenly, his intense obsession with results starts to make perfect sense. It is a complete shift in perspective, realizing that all that talent and privilege were just tools for a much deeper goal. He is actually the most sincere person in the room, willing to put his entire future on the line. Everything he has built was for the sake of just one person. That unwavering drive is exactly what fueled his record-breaking rise. He officially became the youngest person in history to secure a promotion to the adamantite rank. Letitia was satisfied that he earned the right to choose his partner and brought her into the elite squad. It was a major step forward for the entire team. The vice captain offered some parting words of encouragement and told her to do her best. A clumsy salute from Noelle was all it took to show she was ready for the challenge. Early morning hours found her sneaking out of bed and grabbing her gear while the rest of the house was silent. She slipped out the door and started her run through the city streets before the bakeries even opened for business. The team had put together a special training regimen that was proving to be a total grind. She almost considered sleeping in for a moment, but she quickly shook that weakness out of her head. Grinding out sit-ups while sweating through her shirt, she kept her focus on the competition. There was no way she could slow down when she knew her rival was out there working twice as hard. The entire routine was finally finished, leaving her collapsed on the grass and gasping for air. It was a brutal amount of work to get through in one sitting. Her gaze sharpened as she stared into the distance. To become the person she actually wanted to be, she had to give it her all and push past every limit. She forces herself back up as the morning sun breaks over the horizon. With a determined grin and a fist in the air, she declares her goal to reach the top alongside Luke. The chapter kicks off with a heavy vibe in the office as Noelle stays glued to her desk, shaking as she grips her pen. Luke walks in to talk shop about their next mission, but the sheer pressure she is putting out makes him freeze up mid-sentence. She looks like she is about to crumble into dust from the effort, but a single snack box from Luke is enough to pull her back from the edge. It is a total vibe shift as she goes from 0 to 100. The second food is involved. The secret is finally out when Luke notices the paperwork she has been sweating over is just a vacation request. Noelle immediately flips out, desperate to make sure he does not leak the news to anyone else on the team. Suddenly, she is acting like getting a day off is some kind of forbidden legend only told in laborers' myths. She frames it as this grand, unreachable fantasy, while everyone else is just trying to survive the grind. She is basically worshipping the idea of a break like it is a distant star, but Luke is quick to rain on her parade. He does not see what the big deal is and just wants to know the actual reason behind her sudden desire for a trip. The truth comes out. Her mom is planning to hit up a class reunion back in their old village. It takes her back to their humble roots in the countryside, long before she was doing high-level work in the capital. The logistics are the real nightmare here, since her mom isn't exactly a pro at navigating the capital carriage systems. After living a quiet life in the country, the idea of directing a coach across the kingdom is basically mission impossible. Noelle explains that her mom is really nervous about traveling through the kingdom alone. Luke realizes the timing works out since she is originally from the western region anyway. The timing is actually perfect because their next mission is an expedition straight to the west. Luke drops the news that the prince is calling back the exact same squad that took down the Goblin Emperor. Noelle gets a bit tense, wondering if another catastrophe-level monster is about to spawn. Luke keeps it real and tells her it is best to stay prepared for the worst. Instead of being scared, our girl clenches her fist with pure determination. She sees a potential monster encounter as nothing more than a chance to do something legendary. She starts plotting to break Luke's record for reaching adamantite rank just so she can brag about it. Luke just watches her have a full main character moment, knowing exactly what kind of chaotic stuff she is dreaming up. Luke has the whole plan ready, showing her that the mission route passes right by her hometown. He tells her to take time off to help her mom with her business while he handles the heavy lifting. He flashes a rare smile and tells her to just focus on taking care of her mom. Noelle is completely stunned by how much of a supportive king he is being. A carriage clattered along the country road as the reality of her sudden vacation finally set in. Chowing down on a massive burger, our girl could not believe how easy it was to get paid time off. She realized her new job was actually decent for once. Her mom was already shipping her, and Luke, calling him a total prince. Noelle tried to brush it off while finishing her snack, but she could not deny the guy was something special. Looking out over the scenic landscape, she decided the least she could do was bring back a souvenir for her favorite work anchor. Back in her old stomping grounds, nothing had changed a bit. As she waved goodbye to her mom, a fancy carriage rolled by, immediately catching her eye. She marveled at the high-class ride, wondering which local noble was living it up. Then, a familiar face through the window sent a chill down her spine. Flashbacks of her toxic former boss hit her like a truck, bringing back every miserable memory of her old job. With her legs shaking, she took off running, vowing to avoid her old workplace at all costs. Back at the Crafts Guild, the lazy peace was shattered as a worker sprinted through the halls with some major panic. He burst into the lounge to find the boss chilling on the couch, but the news was too big to wait. The guildmaster barely had time to complain about the noise before realizing his worst nightmare had arrived. The big boss himself, Marquis Oswald, stepped into the office looking like he meant business. The guildmaster could only stare in shock as the realization hit that a high noble was standing in his lobby. Trying to keep it professional, the guildmaster scrambled to welcome his VIP guest. Oswald kept it cool, claiming he just dropped by to personally thank them for a recent delivery of high-quality crystal balls. The guild staff was already patting themselves on the back for a job well done, but the vibe shifted instantly when the Marquis announced he was actually there to return the entire shipment. The Marquis held up one of the products, making it clear these were not what he ordered. He looked the staff dead in the eye and demanded an immediate explanation for the mess. The guildmaster was sweating bullets, wondering if the manufacturing process was the problem. These were supposed to be his best items, and he could not wrap his head around why the noble was so heated. Dropping into a deep bow, the boss started throwing out apologies as fast as he could. He admitted they had changed their production methods recently, but promised they were grinding every day to make things even better. The boss practically started barking to save the deal, desperately hyping up the quality of his inventory. Not a single word seemed to reach the noble, who sat there completely unfazed by the sudden flood of flattery. Admitting the new ones looked pretty but lacked any real soul, Oswald dropped a heavy truth bomb. A masterpiece produced through genuine hardship was the only thing he was actually looking for. Memories of the insane amount of work and tears that went into that one perfect item flooded back. It was not just magic, it was pure unadulterated grind. Every single item in the current stock was called out for being a cheap imitation. Compared to the real deal, these were just low-quality clones with a fake face. Total panic set in as the guildmaster realized his best business relationship was slipping through his fingers. He could not fathom how his investment went south so fast. The boss started scrambling for a second chance, promising to revert to the old ways just to keep the deal alive. Desperation was written all over him as he begged for another shot to prove his worth. Instead of an answer, a file hit the table that made the guildmaster's heart stop. It was a detailed report on exactly what was going on behind the scenes at the workshop. Oswald dropped a heavy reveal mentioning that a trustworthy source tipped him off about some shady rumors surrounding the workshop. Despite the high quality of the goods, he was completely blindsided by the reality of the situation. Flashbacks hit hard as he recalled the miserable working conditions behind those supposedly wondrous items. Seeing the toxic environment for himself made it clear that something was seriously wrong with how things were being run. To get the full story, the Marcus tracked down the employees who walked out. They did not hold back, revealing that the actual genius behind the crystal balls was fired and labeled useless by her own boss. Sweating buckets, the guildmaster tried to play it cool while internally cursing out his former staff. He scrambled for a response, desperate to keep the noble from digging any deeper. The boss tried to flip the script, claiming he only fired the girl because she lacked real skill and was just bitter. Oswald did not look convinced, letting a single "oh-ho" slip while leaning heavily on his cane. With a terrifying glare, Oswald shut down the excuses immediately. He demanded to know if the boss was actually calling her incompetent, especially since there was zero evidence to back up that claim. Panic mode officially engaged as the guildmaster realized he was cornered. Oswald looked down, preparing to drop a truth bomb that the boss was clearly not ready to hear. Oswald drops the ultimate hammer, telling them the Lavatia Magic Guild is finished. Their whole operation is getting shut down for good. Their reputation is officially in the gutter. From selling fake products to straight-up assaulting their own staff, the list of crimes is a mile long. The biggest red flag was the death trap working conditions they forced on their craftsmen. Oswald isn't playing around with these safety violations. With a cold look, he officially cuts ties and cancels the contract. It's effective immediately, leaving the boss with zero room to negotiate. He leaves them with some parting shade, telling the boss he's not even worthy of the job. The door slams shut, and the guild's future goes with it. The room goes quiet as the assistant starts panicking about what comes next. Their whole world just collapsed in a matter of minutes. The boss is officially spiraling, unable to believe he lost everything just for firing one girl. He's finally realizing that his useless craftsman was actually his entire meal ticket. The guildmaster is officially losing his mind, screaming as his whole world falls apart. He can't believe his guild status is getting nuked along with his business. Cut to a peaceful day outside where a literal smash cut leads into Noel hearing someone crying. Turns out some local bullies are picking on a little girl and refusing to give her ribbon back. Little Noel drops in from the sky like a final boss, scaring the absolute life out of the punks. One kid starts panicking, spreading wild rumors that Noel is a glutton who actually eats children. Noel is beyond pressed about the weird rumors, but honestly, it is a great way to keep the trash from acting up. The bullies do not stick around to test her appetite and sprint away as fast as possible. After clarifying she does not actually eat kids, Noel gives the ribbon back and tells the girl to call her if those losers ever come back. The kid is stoked, waving goodbye to her new favorite big sis. As Noel walks off, she starts getting a major case of déjà vu about her childhood. She is so deep in thought she does not even notice a mysterious figure lurking in the shadows behind her. Someone calls out her name and Noel spins around to see a familiar face from her past. The girl looks completely stunned to see her, and honestly, the feeling is mutual. A quick flash of their childhood shows Noel used to be the tough one while her friend was a total crybaby. Noel is stunned as she stammers out her disbelief. Standing right there is the girl from her memories, all grown up and looking like a different person. Noel blurts out her name, Nina. We jump back to a time before all the royal mage drama, where a young Nina was being bullied in her home village. One mean kid snatched her teddy bear and held it way out of reach, mocking her for being a rich girl. Nina could barely get a word out through her tears while the bully just laughed in her face. He kept taunting her and pretending he could not hear her desperate pleas to stop. Out of nowhere, a fist came flying in with the power of a freight train. This legendary magic punch sent the lead bully straight to the dirt while Nina watched in total shock. Standing over the fallen bully, a young Noel Springfield made her grand entrance. She struck a heroic pose, declaring herself the ultimate strongest mage to anyone listening. She looked them dead in the eyes with the most smug expression imaginable. If they wanted to keep picking on her friend, they were going to have to go through her first. The bullies realized they messed with the wrong one as they clutched their bruised faces in shock. They finally recognized her as the worst girl in the West and knew they were in trouble. The boys scrambled away in a total panic while Noel just brushed her hair back like a boss. Justice had finally prevailed, and she stood tall as the hero the village needed. Back then, Noel handed the bear back and told Nina to call her whenever those bullies caused trouble. She was ready to be the hero her new friend needed. Beaming with a huge smile, she introduced herself and asked for her new friend's name. Nina could barely stutter out a response while clutching her bear. And just like that, the two of them became a team. This was the moment Noel and Nina officially became a duo. Nina came from a very rich family, but that did not stop them from becoming best friends. Their bond went deeper than status. They spent their days trading skills. Noel taught Nina how to climb trees, and in exchange, she got to read the family's massive collection of rare spellbooks. Things stayed the same. Even after Noel got into the Magic Academy, she was certain they would be friends for the rest of their lives. But one day, everything changed. Noel went to visit the estate only to find the entire place completely deserted. Noel and Nina settle in at the Full Stomach Hall to catch up on everything they missed. Nina returned home for a few days off, while Noel is fitting a massive meal into her busy work schedule. Watching Noel demolish a mountain of food is a major relief for Nina. It means her friend has not changed a bit and still has her legendary appetite in peak form. Nina laughs while remembering how her mother almost fainted after seeing Noel eat her entire kitchen. It seems like no amount of food was ever enough to slow our MC down back in the day. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Noel offers a very late apology for her childhood eating habits. Nina just waves it off with a smile since she is just happy to see her friend again. The talk turns to business as Nina mentions how rare it is for women to secure high-level magic jobs. She admits to having her own share of struggles before finally finding her path. It turns out Nina is now working as a magic doctor after being inspired by the healing magic Noel taught her long ago. This news completely shocks Noel. Being a magic doctor is an elite-tier profession that requires a brutal national certification process. Noelle is hyped for her friend's success while Nina enjoys being the center of attention. Noelle is absolutely losing it over how smart her friend is. She is giving double thumbs up while Nina just plays it cool with a simple thanks. But there is more. Nina drops a bomb saying she has got a second gig, while Noelle somehow manifests a hype banner for her friend. Turns out, Nina is also a legit adventurer and works as a healer. Noelle is stunned by the reveal and her brain basically short-circuits. In this world, anyone can pick up a sword regardless of their background, which is why most adventurers are commoners. Of course, the snobby upper class still finds a way to talk trash about them. Back at the table, Noelle is genuinely confused why a rich girl would choose such a rough path. Nina just smiles and credits her friend for the inspiration. A quick trip down memory lane reveals Nina's childhood was no walk in the park. Between her family's crushing expectations and the local bullies, things were looking pretty grim. But then a tiny version of our MC stepped in. That smile alone was enough to save Nina from the darkness of her past. Back in the day, the sight of Noel standing up to bullies was the most beautiful thing Nina had ever seen. That moment inspired her to become an adventurer and use her skills to shield others from the monsters of the world. She wanted to pay it forward and be the hero for someone else, just like Noel was for her. Nina is genuinely moved while Noel kicks off the celebration, declaring her the ultimate apprentice and praising her new court mage rank. The pair stays in hype mode, trading compliments and trying their best not to burst into laughter at their own cheesiness. Seeing her friend's genuine smile makes Noel realize how much she has changed since her awkward encounter with Luke. Looking at the strong woman Nina has become, Noel feels a wave of pride for both their journeys and how far they have come since they were kids. After finishing up a solid meal, the two head out for a stroll. They are both vibing and catching up on old times. The mood shifts when Nina mentions her next gig. She is heading out to investigate some weird, heavy fog with a team of adventurers. This is not just any fog, though. It has randomly appeared on Dragon Mountain, a dangerous spot way past the western border. Noelle immediately recognizes the name from her studies. That place is a death trap, home to the strongest monsters on the continent known as wyverns. Normal people are strictly banned from going past the second level. Nina explains that her squad has already done one sweep of the lower areas. Things got spooky when they found high-level predator corpses way down on the first floor. It is like something even scarier chased them down from the peak. The way these monsters were torn apart is wild. Between the deep claw marks and crushed bones, it looks like a massive beast went into a frenzy. Nina drops the heavy news. A frenzied wyvern has officially moved down to the lower levels of the mountain. Noelle is stunned. These monsters are mindless killing machines that attack everything in sight. The scale of the threat is insane. If it reaches civilization, the entire western region is going to be in serious trouble. Nina explains they are rounding up any private knights or vigilantes they can find. Noelle is shocked that they can even request help from the court mages. She realizes her partner is the perfect person for the job. Since Luke is already heading west with his squad, he would definitely be willing to help. Nina is impressed because court mages do not usually answer the call of an adventurer. Noelle is already thinking about what kind of souvenir she should buy him while she is in town. Just as she starts looking for a gift a nobleman would enjoy, the ground begins to tremble. A violent quake suddenly rocks the entire market. The earthquake was just the beginning. A terrified man crashes into the square, yelling that a wyvern has come from the western forest, and the crowd immediately descends into pure chaos. Noelle immediately reaches for her communicator to call in the big guns. She tells Nina to get to safety, but she gets a sharp shutdown before she can even finish. Nina declares she is going to buy time until the mages arrive. Noelle is horrified because soloing a wyvern is practically a suicide mission for a normal adventurer. This is exactly why she put on the adventurer badge in the first place. She is not about to run away while everyone else is in danger. Nina is done being the weak kid who always hid behind her best friend. She gives Noelle a confident smile and declares that it is finally her turn to protect someone. She charges toward the front lines without a hint of hesitation. Even against a literal monster, Nina is ready to put everything on the line to keep the peace. Noelle manages to get through to Luke and he promises to head over immediately. She holds her breath and prays they can hold out until the real power arrives. Nina rushes off to get the townsfolk moving, knowing they have to hold out until backup arrives. Noelle watches her go, fully aware that getting an entire squad here in time is going to be a miracle. Noelle tries to force Nina to get to safety, but she freezes when she sees a familiar face. Nina's mother is standing right there, caught in the middle of the disaster. Nina explains that she found a lost child during the rush. The poor kid is covered in dirt and looking completely traumatized by the chaos. The little girl starts crying, refusing to leave for the shelter without her best friend. Her dog is still trapped at home, and she begs the girls to protect the town so she can go back for him. Noelle locks in and makes a solid promise to keep everyone safe. Nina gives the kid a final warning to get to cover as soon as possible while our MC gets ready for battle. As Nina and the girl retreat, Noelle starts sprinting toward the danger. There is only one way to end this nightmare, and that is taking the wyvern head-on. A cocky smirk hits Noelle's face because she knows exactly what needs to be done. The solution is simple enough, but actually surviving it is a whole different story. Our girl is locked in and sprinting toward the danger with zero hesitation. She tells Nina to just wait, because she is about to show everyone that her master is not getting beaten. The Lavatia Mages Guild is looking like a total ghost town with trash and broken gear scattered across the floor. The guild master is officially hitting rock bottom, crying about how his perfect life was supposed to make everyone jealous. He is convinced that finding Noelle is his only way out of this hole, because he still thinks she is his personal golden goose. The vibe is ruined when the Vice Guild master kicks the door down, screaming that a wyvern is officially crashing the party in the western forest. Even with a monster on the way, the guild master is trying to prioritize his gold, forcing his subordinate to literally drag him to safety. While they are making their frantic escape, a familiar figure blurs past the crowd and catches their attention. The guildmaster is shook when he realizes the girl sprinting into the danger is the exact craftsman he has been hunting for. Noelle is basically a cheat code for magic tools, even earning high praise from Archduke Oswald himself for her incredible craftsmanship. But despite her top-tier talent, she is completely clueless about how much she is actually worth. The guildmaster gets a devious look in his eye, realizing he can easily exploit her naive nature for his own gain. He is already picturing himself using her as a personal gold mine, while his subordinate watches on in confusion. With a creepy sprint and an aura of pure greed, he heads off to track her down and drag her back. He is determined to use her to his heart's content no matter what it takes to keep her under his thumb. Elsewhere, Nina is wandering through the forest where she and Noelle used to play when they were kids. The vibe is totally different now, with the mana feeling so heavy and distorted that it makes her skin crawl. Her worst fears are confirmed when a massive wyvern suddenly looms over the trees, showing its teeth. This monster is the literal definition of a death trap, and it is looking for its next meal. Back on the front lines, a veteran adventurer draws his blade with zero hesitation. He knows they have to strike first if they want to survive this nightmare. The whole squad sees a chance for ultimate glory, aiming for that legendary Dragon Slayer title. With a unified roar, they charge straight into the heat of battle to defend the city. These S-rank adventurers are actually putting in work, holding their own against the wyvern with just a 3-man squad. Nina is in awe of their skill as they coordinate their strikes. The squad goes all out, determined to end this nightmare right here. One of them screams a final challenge while lunging for what should be the finishing blow. In an instant, the vibe shifts to pure horror. Nina is left trembling on the ground as the smoke clears, revealing that the elite defense squad has been crushed. It only took a single flash for the beast to silence the experts. Nina can only watch in terror as the monster begins charging up another attack from its glowing maw. The mana in the air is suffocating, and Nina realizes that a direct hit will level more than just the forest. She closes her eyes and begs for it to stop, knowing the entire city is next. Just as the beast is about to fire, a sudden wind blast cuts through the chaos. Nina looks up and sees a familiar hero standing right in the path of the beam. The wyvern unleashes a huge beam of pure destruction that lights up the entire sky. The force of the energy sends shockwaves through the entire region. The sky erupts in a blinding explosion as the monster's beam is sent off course. It is a total wipe for the wyvern's big move. Nina sits there in shock as she realizes Noelle hit the beast's chin at the exact right moment. She effectively knocked its breath into the stratosphere. Noelle gives her friend a reassuring look. "Leave the rest to me, Nina," she says with the vibe of a true professional. Time to move. Noelle starts taunting the wyvern to lead it away from the crowd. Over here, she yells while keeping the monster's eyes on her. She starts throwing out air slashes like they are nothing. They might not do much damage, but they definitely keep the beast angry as it crushes the ground beneath it. Leading it deeper into the trees, Noelle finally gets the isolation she needs. She slips behind a massive trunk and confirms she has its full attention. Knowing she cannot win a test of raw power, she chooses a tactical onslaught. She unleashes an airblade storm, overwhelming the creature with 1,000 precise strikes. The wyvern unleashes a massive beam that turns the area into a disaster zone. Nina gets sent flying from the shockwave, but our girl Noelle is out here tanking the pressure like a boss. Things go from bad to worse as the beast slams Nina against a tree and follows up with a smirk. This monster really thinks it has already won the fight. Noelle was just waiting for the perfect opening. She traps the beast in a massive magic circle and drops a pillar of light right on its head. Shield up. Noelle takes a moment to breathe behind her barrier while the smoke clears. This high-level combat is a far cry from the easy battles of her past. A quick flashback reveals the truth. Seeing the insane lightning magic from Luke was the spark she needed to start grinding like her life depended on it. Noelle admits her accuracy is still lacking, but she makes up for it with pure volume. When you can spam a massive number of spells, you do not need the aim of a sniper. Covered in blood and dust, Noelle locks in. She is not letting this beast ruin her city, or her chance to catch up to the top rankers. 16 opens with the greedy guildmaster huffing through the forest as he tries to keep pace with Noelle. His subordinate hits the dirt from pure exhaustion while the old man stays blinded by potential profit, completely missing the fact that Noelle is moving at superhuman speeds. The subordinate drops to his knees and begs for a tactical retreat, pointing out that there is a literal dragon nearby. The guildmaster just stands there with his arms crossed, and a smug look, ignoring the very obvious danger for the sake of his ego. A massive explosion rocks the trees behind them, but the boss is still grinning like he is on vacation. His logic is simple. If a little girl is charging into the mess, it probably is not as dangerous as it looks. That confidence vanishes the moment the wyvern silhouette looms over the forest through a cloud of smoke. Seeing the beast up close has both men screaming and sprinting the other way, as fast as their legs can carry them. Meanwhile, Noelle is locked in and going toe-to-toe with the monster. She stares down the beast with zero fear, launching a high-volume magic strike directly into its open jaw as it tries to roar. She knows a single hit from this thing would end her career permanently. Every dodge is a life-or-death gamble, but she is starting to read the monster patterns and move with more precision than ever before. While the city is in a state of total chaos, with people fleeing for their lives, Noelle stays focused. She realizes she has to hold the line solo for now, since it will be quite a while before Luke and his squad can make it to the scene. One step is all it takes to commit. She just needs to hold out until backup arrives. Noelle is locked in. She summons a giant magic circle, ready to buy every second she can. Heavy explosions start rocking the forest from afar. The sound is so loud it has the survivors wondering what kind of fight they are missing. The S-rank squad is shook. They can barely process the fact that a single girl is holding her own against a dragon. Someone tries to stagger back to their feet to help, but the team shuts it down. They are too beat up to be anything but a liability. The captain gives them a harsh reality check. In their current state, even as pros, they would only slow her down. He watches in awe as the sheer mana begins to warp the space around her. She is spamming spells faster than his eyes can even track. Bismarck clenches his fist as he watches Noelle hold the line by herself. The survivors are in shock, wondering who this girl even is. Noelle is pushing her limits, launching spell after spell to keep the beast at bay. The monster is massive, and every movement it makes forces her to reposition instantly. Despite the high volume of magic, she realizes she hasn't even left a mark on the dragon. The beast crashes through the trees, making the entire forest floor shake with every step. Exhaustion finally starts to set in, and her mana pool is hitting rock bottom. She huddles against a tree, breathing hard as she wonders how much longer she can actually survive this. In the face of despair, she clenches her fist and forces herself to think. She needs a plan, so she asks herself what Luke would do in a mess like this. Thinking back to the Goblin Emperor fight, she remembers how Luke always stayed calm under pressure. He was the only one who could make a breakthrough when the odds were stacked against them. He realized the weird fog was actually a concealment spell hiding the enemy units. One quick dispel was all it took to flip the script. The enemies in the Misty Forest were hiding behind concealment spells. Maybe she can use the same trick Luke did. She thrusts her hand forward and shouts for a dispel. The light shatters the illusion, and the beast finally shows its face. It lets out a deafening roar that shakes the trees. But that is when she notices something weird on its neck. Her eyes go wide as she spots the gear. The whole vibe shifts as she realizes that collar might be a special grade relic. Dungeon relics are the rare loot found at the bottom of the deepest dungeons. The ones with insane levels of power are known as special grade legends. The collar is likely the reason this wyvern went into a frenzy. If she can just destroy it, the nightmare finally ends. Reality hits hard when she realizes she is fresh out of mana. Her hands are shaking and her strength is fading. Memories of her friends flash through her mind as she struggles to stay upright. Our girl refuses to give up, clenching her fists as she stares down the beast. She tells herself she is not dying here. All she needs is pure determination. Our girl clenches her fist, ready to bet it all. It does not matter if it is a dragon or a legendary relic in the way. Facing down the roaring beast, she pushes past the pressure. She refuses to set limits and vows to give this everything she has left. The time for talking is over. She funnels every scrap of mana into one huge wind blast. The dragon swipes for the kill, but she is already mid-spell. With a scream, she lets the magic rip. A blinding pillar of light consumes the forest. The impact is so heavy that the ground itself starts to split. The battlefield goes quiet as she catches her breath. She actually pulled off the impossible. Our MC collapses into the grass, unable to move a muscle. The collar is finally shattered, but the cost was every drop of her energy. Her vision is going dark, and the only person she can think about is Luke. She whispers an apology to the void as she prepares to pass out. The wyvern gives her a gentle nudge as a final goodbye. It thanks her for breaking the curse and calls her a little hero before taking off. The dragon disappears into the clouds, leaving our girl beat up but satisfied. She lets out a weak laugh because she actually survived the impossible. Her brain is basically mush, but she is already thinking about how much she is going to brag to Luke. She just needs to see his face as soon as possible. Suddenly, a familiar voice breaks through the silence. Her elite rival finally makes it to the scene, but his usual mask of indifference has completely shattered. The vibe in the air completely shifts as she processes his reaction. This is the first time the genius honor student has ever lost his cool like this. Noelle is drifting through a total void of pure comfort. It is warm, cozy, and hitting all the right spots. She is leaning into a mysterious warmth that is a 10 out of 10 for relaxation. This feeling is just too calming. Suddenly, the hunger GPS pings. That is the unmistakable scent of her mom's legendary special stew. Cut to the town clinic under the morning sun. Noelle finally opens her eyes and tries to piece the situation together. She recalls the epic showdown with the dragon, but the rest of the night is a total blur. A voice breaks the silence while she is standing there holding a massive pot. It is a total emotional reunion as her mom pulls her into a massive hug. Pure relief that her girl is finally safe. Noelle's mom squeezes her in a tight hug, radiating motherly pride. She tells her she did a great job and reveals she has been cooking nonstop while waiting for her to wake up. The praise keeps coming, with her mom calling her her pride and joy. Being held like this makes Noelle feel like a little kid again. Memories of her mom's hugs come flooding back. She is just relieved to see her mom is safe and sound after the chaos. Maximum teasing begins when her mom asks when she finally seduced Luke. She describes how he carried her in his arms like something straight out of a romance novel. Noelle tries to focus on her soup while her mom drops some truth. Apparently Luke hasn't left her side once, so she better thank him later. Luke is crashed out at the table from exhaustion. Her mom gives a cheeky thumbs up and tells her to seal the deal, leaving Noelle lost. With a final battle cry that love is war, her mom slams the door and leaves them alone. Noelle just sighs, insisting they aren't even like that. Watching Luke sleep feels rare for her. He really stayed by her side the entire time. Thinking about how worried he must have been since she passed out makes her heart heavy. Noelle clutches her chest as a warm, ticklish feeling washes over her. This is definitely not the same vibe she gets from her mom. Maybe it is just intense gratitude for a trusted partner. She stays stuck in her head trying to figure it out. One look at his long eyelashes makes her kind of mad. His face is way too pretty for its own good. Luke's eyes finally flutter open, and he finds Noelle inches away from his face. She just offers a casual wave to break the awkward silence. Luke practically teleports across the room in a blind panic. He hits the bookshelf with a solid thunk and stays frozen there. Noelle is offended by the ghost comment and asks what is up with that reaction. Luke tries to play it cool while his face turns into a tomato, eventually asking if she feels any better. Back to her usual high-energy self, eyes sparkling with stars, she asks if he has ever fought a dragon before, and he can only give a flat no, hops on a chair to assert dominance. Noelle declares herself the winner of this round. Luke is just confused why she made this a matter of winning and losing. She sticks a finger right in his face with zero hesitation. Losing to him again is simply not an option. Academy days flash by as she recalls their long history together. She wants to be his rival on equal terms, just like they used to be. Looking at the legendary Magus class medallion, she sets her sights on the top. If he is going for it, then she is coming for that title too. Leaning in with a confident grin, she lets him know the competition is officially on. You better be ready, she tells him. Luke drops the poker face and admits he already sees her as a real rival. That calm attitude does not sit well with our girl though, and she definitely lets him know it. Our girl makes sure to get the last word in, promising to leave him speechless next time. He just rolls with it and says he is looking forward to the challenge. Fast forward a few days and things are finally settling back to normal in town. Noelle is back on her feet in a fresh outfit, ready to head home where her mom is waiting. Nina says her goodbyes before heading out, and Luke decides it is finally time to get back to the capital. Just as they are about to part ways, someone yells her name and stops them in their tracks. Nina rushes back for one last hug because she is not ready for the trip to end. Noelle has to remind her that real life is calling and she cannot stay on vacation forever. Noelle never expected that her friend was actually planning for them to be an official adventure team. Nina admits that someone already beat her to the punch regarding her secret plan. She looks pretty serious about it, while Luke just reacts with confusion in the background. Nina formally invites Noelle to go adventuring sometime and even flexes her amazing job benefits as a closer. The girls seal the deal with a celebratory promise while Luke stands by looking completely drained. While the group walks in dreams of finding legendary grimoires, a massive rumble shakes the entire area. Noelle is caught off guard as someone shouts her name at the top of their lungs. A huge crowd of recruiters and fans suddenly swarms the trio with job offers and party invites. Every guild in the region seems to want the girl who just saved their town. Our girl tries to explain that she is still just a novice, but the eager crowd refuses to listen. The sheer amount of attention and noise is so intense that her head actually starts spinning. An elderly couple steps forward from the crowd with a much more quiet and sincere approach. They look her in the eyes and thank her for saving their town from destruction. The townspeople officially crown her as their hero and leave our girl pointing at herself in total disbelief. She is blushing hard as she tries to wrap her head around the fact that they are actually talking about her. Local kids swarm her with gifts, thanking their big sis for saving the town. Noelle is overwhelmed by the sheer volume of apples and flowers, asking if they are really sure about giving it all away. Luke points out that this is proof of the town's gratitude. After being called a failure and fired from her last job, the sudden warmth is almost hard to process. She remembers the deep depression of feeling useless and unwanted. Now seeing the smiles on everyone's faces, she finally feels like she has a place where she belongs. Tears of joy stream down her face as she celebrates not giving up on her dreams. She is just happy that her beloved magic could actually help people. Elsewhere, the greedy guildmaster and his assistant watch the massive crowd from a distance. They are shocked by the level of attention their former employee is receiving. The assistant asks if they should approach her, but the guildmaster knows they have already lost their chance. He realizes she has grown far too powerful to ever come back to a place like theirs. The guildmaster is haunted by the image of Noel fighting the dragon, realizing the girl he kicked out was actually a top-tier talent. Just as he wallows in his regret, a voice calls out to stop him in his tracks. The local mayor steps in with a stone-cold expression. He makes it clear that he knows exactly how dirty they treated Noelle during her time at the guild. The plot thickens when it turns out the mayor is actually the guildmaster's own father. He is not about to let his son's greed ruin the reputation of the town or his own name. The trash gets officially taken out as they are banished from the town for good. The two cowards scramble away like their lives depend on it while the mayor tells them to never return. Later on the road home, Noelle feels a bit guilty about Luke using up his vacation time just to escort her. He just shrugs it off like it is the most natural thing in the world. Luke hits her with a smooth line about wanting to hear all about his partner's adventures. Noelle's brain goes into full system error mode as she tries to process the sudden compliment. She quickly recovers and insists that her adventures were nothing short of legendary. The ride is full of good vibes and laughter as they continue their long trip back to the capital. Deep down, she is absolutely glowing with happiness. Knowing that Luke chose to stay behind specifically for her makes all the struggle of the last few days feel worth it. Zero chance she is admitting those feelings out loud. Instead, she pivots to pure chaos by gifting Luke a weird wooden statue of the town mayor. He can only manage a soul-crushed thanks while questioning his life choices. Back in the capital, Noel's mom is cooking up a huge feast to celebrate her daughter finally coming home. She is already prepping the kitchen while the soup starts bubbling on the stove. She is currently lost in a total rom-com fantasy about Noel and Luke being all flirty in the carriage ride back. In her mind, the two of them are basically a confirmed power couple with peak romantic vibes. Then she remembers how Noel used to swear there was absolutely nothing going on between them. It is honestly hilarious because the boy has been acting like a total simp this entire time. Specifically that one time he carried her to the clinic, looking like his entire world was about to end. You definitely do not make a face that's stressed for someone who is just a rival. Mom starts wondering what a high-status genius like Luke actually sees in her quirky daughter. Noelle basically chooses food over romance every single day of the week, so she is definitely a unique choice. She realizes they might not be a traditional match on paper, but the connection between them is undeniable. A warm smile hits her face as she finishes up her work in the kitchen. She stops to look at a framed photo from back when Noel was just a little kid. She realizes just how much her daughter has grown up since they took this picture together. Flashback to 10 years ago, Riel Springfield was out here grinding in a chaotic tavern. Between the rowdy crowds and endless orders, she was working her tail off. Being a single mother was a war zone every single day. She did not even have the luxury of complaining when customers caught an attitude. Things were even rougher because an epidemic took her parents early on. No school, no relatives, and absolutely zero safety net to catch her. Working morning and night was just the standard routine. Luckily, her co-workers looked out for her with some staff meals that made a huge difference. The walk home was always filled with stress about what comes next. But no matter how tired she got, she had one major reason to keep moving. That reason was a tiny Noelle waiting to tackle her at the door. One look at that face and all the stress from the day just melted away instantly. Noelle was the only family she had left in this world. Riel was ready to sacrifice everything just to make sure her little girl never stopped smiling. Riel was drowning in work with a deadline breathing down her neck. She admitted she was not exactly winning any Mother of the Year awards back then. Tiny Noelle comes charging in at full speed shouting for her mommy. The kid was bouncing off the walls because she just saw magic for the first time. Riel was way too stressed to deal with the hype and tried to tell her she was busy. Our future MC did not care about the busy schedule and dropped the biggest life goal ever. She declared that she was going to become the greatest mage the world has ever seen. Back in reality, the odds were stacked against them. Riel knew that even noble kids struggled to make it as mages, let alone a girl from a small rural town. She immediately felt terrible for almost crushing the first dream her daughter ever had. Realizing being busy was a lame excuse, she turned around to take back what she said. But Noel was already on a different level of motivation. Instead of being discouraged, she decided the difficulty just made her want it even more. Everyone usually assumes the parent is the one doing all the heavy lifting. Riel realized that in her case, her daughter was actually the one keeping her going. Seeing that little smile was the only reason Riel needed to keep the hustle going. She was willing to pay any price to see her daughter succeed at the capital's top school. Embroidery, cleaning, and serving were just the standard rotation to keep the tuition money flowing. However, the pace was unsustainable, and the grind finally hit a breaking point. Years of sacrificing her health finally took their toll, and Riel went down hard in the middle of a shift. Regaining consciousness was a blur of white ceilings and confusion, but the frantic voice by the bed was unmistakable. Noelle had sprinted straight from the academy, her relief coming out in a wave of tears the second she saw her mother awake. Noelle forced her mom to stay in bed, telling her not to overdo it while Riel managed a weak apology for being a burden. Back in the day, Noelle promised she would come straight home and start working the second she graduated from the academy. She held her mother's hand tight and told her to just focus on resting, eventually returning to the countryside just like she promised. But the grind was brutal, and after 3 years of being overworked at a toxic guild, she was suddenly fired out of nowhere. Even after getting the boot, our girl didn't waste a second and started hunting for new interviews in the Western District. She was determined to be the provider now, strictly forbidding her mother from working while she took charge of their future. With a confident thumbs up and a promise to land a new gig, she headed out the door to start the grind again. Flashback to the moment it all went south. If she hadn't collapsed that day, everything would be different. Noelle should have been thriving in the capital with her dream job. Instead, she was forced into the boonies where magic careers go to die. The guilt is finally hitting hard. She is convinced she didn't just break her body, she nuked her daughter's entire future. Whispering apologies to an empty room, she wanted to give Noelle the life she never had, filled with books and real choices. Seeing her daughter come home drained every single day was terrifying. She feared the constant grind would eventually leave Noelle broken for good. A clenched fist says it all. She is done watching her child work herself to death, and is ready to find an exit strategy. In her mind, there is only one way out. She truly believes a happy marriage is the ultimate shortcut to a peaceful life. She decided a heart-to-heart was long overdue once her daughter returned. Clutching an old photo, she prepared to tell her daughter to quit magic for a stress-free life. Back at the house, a sudden arrival cut their reunion short. A mysterious visitor made his presence known with a loud thud at the door. Luke didn't waste any time with the introductions. He dropped a bomb by offering Noelle a legit job as a court mage right then and there. Reality hit so hard that her mom slapped herself to check if it was a dream. She ended up having a meltdown on the floor while the guys just watched in confusion. The move to the royal capital happened in the blink of an eye. Looking at the photos on the wall, she still can't believe her daughter went from a failure to a dragon-slaying hero. Life as a court mage is treating our girl right. Between the constant praise and a fresh promotion, every day is a complete win. She is finally glowing with the kind of joy she never found at her old job. Back at the house, her mom takes a trip down memory lane while looking at the old photos. The long years of constant worry are finally starting to fade away. It is clear that our MC has found where she truly belongs. A wave of calm settles over her as she realizes her daughter is doing just fine. She silently makes peace with the past and embraces the bright future ahead of them. A sudden click at the front door breaks the silence of the room. Through every high and low, her daughter has always been the greatest source of pride in her life. Noelle bursts into the room with a massive smile and a loud greeting. A heartfelt welcome back is the perfect end to a long day. Her mother just hopes this season of happiness lasts forever. Elsewhere at the royal palace, things are looking much more formal. Inside her private office, Leticia slides a mysterious envelope across the desk for our boy Luke. He stares down at the gift with a puzzled look. Leticia explains that she has a pair of opera tickets she cannot use herself, so she is passing them off to him instead. Leticia stops playing around and drops the real plan. She tells him to use those tickets to take Noelle on a proper date. Luke looks like his brain just short-circuited. The thought of a date hits him like a bolt of lightning and leaves him completely stunned. Leticia is officially playing matchmaker, sliding a pair of tickets across the desk. She tells Luke it is time to stop stalling and take Noel on a real date. Our boy Luke is low-key stressed, wondering if he got summoned to the head office just for some romantic advice. Leticia shuts him down quick, saying that is only the beginning. The mood turns serious as she pulls up his report on the dragon incident. She gives him his flowers, admitting his performance on the field was actually flawless. As she sets down her tea, she breaks down the logistics of the battle. Leaving the squad behind was the right tactical call, but she knows his brain was not on the mission. She looks him right in the soul and calls out his cap. This was not about duty or orders, he just could not stand the thought of Noel getting hurt. Luke asks if he is about to get penalized for his feelings, but Leticia just sighs. She is not going to punish him, she is just worried about him getting too deep into his own head. Leticia drops the ultimate reality check, warning him that being this attached is a gamble. If Noel ends up with someone else, his devotion is going to turn into a world of pain. Leticia keeps it real. She says that at the end of the day, Noel's happiness is the only thing that counts. She looks down, noting that his stoic act is failing. He cannot hide his true feelings behind that face. She warns him that relying on someone else for happiness is dangerous. It is the fastest way to end up in pain. The door slams shut behind him. Her words follow him out, reminding him to prioritize his own life for once. Our boy looks at the tickets while the reality of his noble bloodline hits. Being the future head of a house means any romance with a commoner would trigger a massive scandal. He watches her move forward with a wave. For now, he decides that just wishing for her joy is enough. Even as he prays for her, he cannot help but be a little selfish. He secretly hopes her heart stays off the market forever. Watching her walk away, his heart is in his throat as he finally admits the truth. One clenched fist is all he has to show for a confession she will never hear. Trapped in his own doubt about being worthy of her, he reaches out into the empty air. Sensing a shift in the vibe, she pauses for a split second. Back at home, our girl is living her best life. Pure chaotic energy fills her messy room. Days off are the best, she cheers, stretching across the bed. Mandatory snacking and multiple naps are the only items on the agenda today. It is called self-care, and she has definitely earned it. Choosing the perfect grimoire for a lazy afternoon is a high-stakes decision. Settling on a small one, she finally gets cozy. A strange noise from outside breaks the silence. She wonders if her mom is home or if she is just hallucinating from all the snacks. The door handle suddenly clicks open. Unexpected guests are the last thing she wanted during her private relaxation time. A giant dragon looms over our girl. It just landed right in front of her. The dragon pokes her head to get her attention while she questions her sanity. It turns out this legend is here to repay its debt for that collar she broke. The beast makes a bold claim. It is ready to serve her however she needs. Noelle tries to keep her head on straight while processing the news. Having a living legend as a bodyguard is a little much. To the average person, this is an omen of destruction. Kids are already scattering as the dragon puts on a show of power. Desperate to avoid a citywide panic, she tries to explain the local vibe. People are definitely going to attack a dragon on sight, so she suggests a quick exit. The big guy just scoffs with a smug grin. It is more than happy to reduce any attackers to ash. Noelle suggests that violence never solves anything and they should just vibe in peace. The dragon actually agrees, promising to follow her lead from now on. To keep things low-key, the beast explains its concealment spell that only lets people within a short distance see it. It also reveals their little chat is strictly telepathic, meaning Noel is the only one who can hear its voice. Our girl is relieved there is nothing to worry about since nobody else can hear them. Suddenly, a thud echoes as a woman nearby drops her entire basket of groceries in shock. Reality hits hard when Noel looks up and sees her mother swaying on her feet. She sprints forward, catching her mom just as she loses consciousness. Her mom is safely tucked into bed after just a minor fainting spell, and Noel even throws in a healing spell for good measure. Outside, the dragon looks completely dejected, apologizing for accidentally scaring the life out of her family while trying to say thanks. The big guy has been doing his absolute best to stay small and unnoticed just to reach her. Noelle feels the guilt sinking in and offers a genuine apology for the misunderstanding. She reaches out to comfort the beast, letting him know she was actually worried about him after the big fight. Her face lights up with a massive smile as she tells him she is honestly just happy he came to visit. The dragon's stoic front melts into a massive blush when he hears her kind words. Noelle beams with a pure smile, just happy to see her friend is doing well. Before things wrap up, the big guy leans in to offer a parting gift. A bright light pulses between them as he tells the small one to accept what he is giving her. Resting in her palms is a sleek whistle attached to a fine chain. She stares at the strange object, wondering why a legendary beast would be carrying around a souvenir. Her inner magic geek takes over the second she spots the intricate formulas etched into the stone. She starts rambling about ancient Almerian incantations while the dragon watches with a knowing smile. He explains that this is a high-level teleportation whistle. One good blow will trigger a specialized magic circle that is programmed to summon him to her side instantly. Our girl is practically vibrating with excitement over the pure logic of the spell. She is floored by the idea that a single whistle blow can call in a literal dragon for backup. Then reality hits her like a truck as she realizes how dangerous this really is. Warping a legendary beast into the middle of the capital would cause a national emergency in about 5 seconds. Our girl is practically short-circuiting as she realizes she is the one holding such a dangerous item. The dragon takes off with a grand promise to fulfill her every desire. Noel is left shouting for him to wait just as Luke comes sprinting into the scene. Luke is in a panic after catching a glimpse of the beast. Noel quickly tries to shut down his theory that it is back for revenge. He spots the strange object in her palm and asks what it is. Honestly, she is not entirely sure about the details herself. Luke asks if the item is dangerous to her or the capital. She nods as hard as she can to reassure him. He knows he strictly needs to report the incident. They stand there in the aftermath while he considers his options. Her imagination goes into overdrive. She pictures herself being dragged to court and sentenced to death for the crime of dragon summoning. Noel drops some heavy advice, telling him he needs to value his own life before trying to fit into society. Our boy can only offer a weak nod in response. They go full chibi mode while agreeing to keep this dragon mess a secret. It is the only way to make sure things do not spiral out of control. She pushes for the truth, asking the awkward question of why he even showed up at her house. The vibe immediately shifts to high alert. Panicked excuses start flying as he tries to search for a believable lie. Before she can dig deeper, he turns and claims he has no reason for being there. Suspicions reach a high point as she accuses him of hiding secret candy in his pocket. He tries to play it cool by saying he was just checking on her recovery before offering a quick farewell and making his escape. He makes a run for it to escape the interrogation. She is left standing in the street, wondering what just happened. Safe in a dark alley, he finally catches his breath. He stares at the tickets in his palm, frustrated that he could not find the courage to give them to her. He plays back a fantasy in his head where he just acts like a normal human and hands over the ticket. Since they are friends, it really should have been that easy. Reality check? He clenches his fist in pure frustration because this is somehow harder than studying or getting promoted. Noel just stands there with a confused look, wondering what is going on. Our boy is officially spiraling. He cannot understand why he turns into a glitching NPC the moment he is in front of her. Big moves for our MC. She just officially got promoted to the silver class. The news has her absolutely hyped. She gives a massive thank you as Gawain offers his congratulations. High on success, she asks if she is the fastest to ever reach this rank. Gawain has to rain on the parade and tell her she is actually in second place. The person who beat her to the punch was her rival Luke. She takes the news about as well as you would expect. Court mages are a true meritocracy. They value skill over social status or age, which is how people climb the ranks so fast. Gawain admits he was a total overachiever himself. He broke records back in his day and cheers her on to reach the top. Taking it all in, she realizes how much luck and timing actually mattered. She decides to keep her ego in check and stay focused on the work. Gawain breaks out a chart to show her the massive climb ahead. Even though she and Luke both hit silver, the gap to elite ranks like gold and adamantite is huge. Our girl can only agree that it sounds fair. He tells her to chill and take her time instead of just chasing Luke's shadow. Rushing into the deep end is a one-way ticket to Burnout City. Every legend had to put in the work before they reached the top. She is worried that taking it slow means falling behind the curve. Gawain keeps it positive, telling her that real growth is all about making small daily improvements. One step at a time is the way to go. Gawain points out that both her and Luke are way too serious. According to him, the real powerhouses are the ones actually enjoying the grind. Having fun is the ultimate growth hack. She is genuinely shocked that having fun is even allowed on the clock. Gawain doubles down, explaining that liking what you do is the best way to level up. It is a total mindset shift for our hardworking MC. Gawain points out she is already a total magic nerd who loves every second of her job. From geeking out over books to blasting spells in the field, she is the definition of a workaholic who loves the grind. She tries to act professional, but her inner fangirl is definitely showing. That pure love for the craft is exactly why she is such a high-tier mage. To reward her, Gawain reaches into his pocket and offers her a piece of candy. It is a wholesome end to their little lecture. Gawain drops a bombshell, admitting he is broke and asking her to wait for that promotion bonus. He offers her a piece of candy as a placeholder, leaving her wondering how a top-tier mage is this down bad. Walking through the quiet palace halls, a wave of doubt sets in. She worries that simply having fun won't be enough to bridge the wide gap between her and Luke. Her past training was a chaotic mess of self-study and barely getting enough sleep to function. Looking back, she realized most of her growth was strictly in support magic. Determination in her eyes, she realizes the real challenge is only just beginning. It is time to step up her game and put in the work required to reach the top. The road to rivaling Luke looks like an endless galaxy. She knows she needs to put in extraordinary effort to even stand on the same stage as him. She heads over to the Royal Library to find some answers. Standing among the shelves, she starts overthinking every single choice. Letitia catches her struggling and walks over with a smirk. Seeing her idol immediately flips the switch, turning our MC into a fangirl the moment her mentor arrives. Noelle is having a minor crisis over her study habits. Letitia points out that pulling 8-hour shifts of spell boost is less about studying and more about being a total tank. Sensing an opportunity, Letitia offers her a spot in a specialized magic skills course. The idea is an instant hit. This is not just any class, but a high-level lecture from a Royal Magic University expert. They are going deep into magic formula construction. The technical topic completely resets her mood. She is already sold on the lecture before the pitch is even finished. She starts geeking out over the one subject where she actually managed to outscore Luke. Letitia just chuckles, clearly won over by the high-energy geek session. Apparently, she has always been a nerd, even back when other kids tried to bully her for it. Those haters learned the hard way that her study sessions included plenty of physical combat training. Having a mentor who appreciates her weirdness makes Noelle want to level up her own sophistication. Letitia takes the opening and pivots to the real mission, asking if she has any interest in the opera. Noelle goes into a daydream, imagining an opera as a high-class musical filled with mermaids and cats in boots. She admits she has no clue what actually happens there, but she is convinced it is way too artsy for a commoner like her. Letitia encourages her to step outside her comfort zone and try something new besides just hitting the books. She hints that an opera would be an exciting change of pace if the opportunity ever showed up. Our girl is actually considering it since her mentor gave the recommendation, even if she has zero clue how to score a ticket. Meanwhile, Luke is standing right there with the tickets in his hand, but he just can't bring himself to say a word. Elsewhere, it is finally time for the specialized magic skills course to begin. Noelle is marching through the halls with peak energy, bragging about getting a solid 9 hours of sleep because she is so hyped. She can't wait to see the other squads and find out what a real university professor has to teach them. She steps into the lecture hall feeling like she is already getting smarter, but the other students are busy spreading rumors. Apparently, this specific lecture is famous for being the hardest one to follow at the entire university. The mages around her whisper that these professors love to flex on court mages with impossible topics. They supposedly live for the moment when nobody in the room can answer their questions. Hearing about the difficulty level has our girl completely shook. She starts questioning if she even belongs in a university-level course. Her confidence is tanking fast. She just thought this looked cool, but now she is worried about failing to keep up. Before she can even sit down, the other mages spot her. They recognize her as the legendary monster newbie who has been breaking records everywhere. The whole vibe shifts as they start treating her like a savior, sent to defeat their wicked professor. Noelle is just standing there with a question mark over her head. Realizing the misunderstanding, she desperately tries to explain that she is just as lost as they are. This level of unearned pressure is not what she signed up for. This dude with the glasses just winks and tells her not to worry. He thinks her panic is just a humble flex and refuses to hear her out. The entire lecture hall starts erupting in cheers for their new hero. Our girl is officially trapped in the hype, and she has zero idea how to stop it. The rest of the mages are treating her like a human cheat code, hyping her up to destroy their nightmare professor. While they cheer, a heavy set of footsteps signals the end of the fun. The vibe shifts instantly as a man slams his hand on the desk and demands silence. He orders everyone to take their seats before the real lecture begins. He introduces himself as Friedrich Roth, a professor from the Royal Magic Academy. He is clearly not here to waste anyone's time. After handing out a worksheet, he tells the class to raise their hands once they are finished. The page is covered in complex formulas that look more like ancient code than magic theory. The students are already melting down, claiming this year is even more brutal than the last. They are still pinning all their hopes on the rookie, thinking she is about to pull off a miracle. Noelle stares at the handout in total horror. To her, this beloved magic suddenly looks like a foreign language she has never seen before. Her brain is going into overdrive as she frantically tries to find a way out of this. She is desperately searching for anything she can actually do to solve the problem. This struggle feels like a total repeat of history, taking her right back to her Magic Academy days. Back then, buff magic was her biggest weakness, and she was completely at a loss on how to pass the class. As a last resort, she decided to approach the one guy she could not stand. With a face that says she hates every second of this, she asks him to explain what she is missing. He seems low-key annoyed, but his explanation is actually way clearer than the lecture from their professor. He starts writing in her notebook and calls her out for trying to rush the whole solution at once. His secret is to break the logic down and solve the problem one small piece at a time. Noelle focuses on the challenge, holding on to the belief that every problem has a solution. 30 minutes pass with the entire class hitting a total dead end. Roth scoffs at the lack of progress, feeling completely unimpressed by their effort. He views the court mages as nothing but tamed mongrels who cannot handle his custom-made problems. He enjoys the silence, telling the entire class to just keep suffering. A single hand breaks the silence of the lecture hall. Noelle casually drops the news that she is already finished with the task. Roth lunges forward to snatch the paper in a total panic. The rest of the class can only watch in silence as the vibe in the room shifts to pure shock. The formulas on the page do not follow any known magic theory. It is an unrefined and original approach that catches the veteran researcher completely off guard. A hard swallow follows the realization that her chaotic methods actually solve the puzzle. They might be messy and inefficient, but her results are undeniable. Roth realized these formulas were the result of a hellish amount of refinement. Only a lifelong researcher could truly appreciate the insane grind she put in. He started questioning just how many thousands of formulas she had to write to reach this level. This girl was moving like a seasoned pro. The lecture finally ended and Roth called it a day. Noelle let out a heavy sigh, feeling the drain of that high-intensity mental workout. Her classmates immediately swarmed her to celebrate the historic win. No one had ever cleared 80% of his problems before, making her a legend on the spot. Moments later, she wondered if all those years of self-study were finally paying off. Just as the hype was peak, a stern voice from the side cut right through the noise. Adjusting his glasses, Roth asked for a private word with her. The room went silent as her friends watched with pure dread, wondering what the old man wanted. Fear took over as she stood by the door, convinced she was about to get a legendary lecture. In her head, she could already see him screaming about her messy formulas and trapping her in the lab forever. Roth turns his back to Noelle and drops a massive bombshell. He admits that he absolutely hates court mages. In his eyes, they are just obedient dogs who waste their talent bowing to authority. He adds that her messy formulas are inefficient and a total disaster by modern standards. Noelle stands there in silence while her confidence hits zero. But then his tone shifts. He calls them unique creations that only she could ever come up with. Roth adjusts his glasses and tells her not to change a single thing. He actually wants her to keep making the kind of chaotic magic that researchers like him hate. The hallway fills with a sudden warmth as he acknowledges her potential. He tells her to keep working hard and stay true to her own path. A sharp slam of the door marks his exit, leaving her frozen in the silence. It takes a second for the realization to hit that she actually just got praised. Staring down at her boots, she admits that her confidence usually vanishes faster than her lunch. The encouraging words of her mentors echo in her mind, reminding her that staying true to herself is exactly what she needs to do. She clenches her fist and realizes that taking her time is actually just fine. Walking with her head held high, she decides to stop rushing and finally move at her own pace. She keeps her eyes on Luke's back, promising herself that she will one day close the gap between them. The mental weight finally lifts, and she celebrates by announcing that she could eat the entire cafeteria menu right now. She catches Luke acting suspicious nearby and immediately asks what he is doing. Our boy starts glitching out, struggling to give her a normal answer. With stars in her eyes, she asks if he is ready for a legendary gluttony battle. He can only watch in disbelief, completely stunned by her unhinged logic. Our boy finally whips out the tickets and holds them up for her to see. Noelle goes silent as she stares at the unexpected invitation. With his face turning a shade of red that should be medically impossible, he manages to ask if she has a second to talk. Luke finally stops glitching long enough to hold out those opera tickets. Noelle is completely frozen, staring at the invitation like she just found a legendary item. Noelle is a bit confused because she is only looking at the back of the papers, so Luke has to quickly flip them over. After clearing his throat, he explains they are from a superior and finally asks if she wants to go with him. He clarifies that the tickets are for an opera, but she doesn't even need the details. Her eyes turn into literal diamonds as she shouts an immediate yes. She starts jumping for joy, mentioning how Letitia always told her she should experience the opera at least once. The timing was actually perfect, and it seems our boy finally managed to pull off a great job. With a massive smile, she skips away while shouting that she can't wait for their outing. Luke is left standing alone in the hallway, looking like he is still processing the massive win. Our boy is actually feeling a bit weird because of how smoothly that went. After all that life or death levels of stress, her casual agreement feels almost anticlimactic. He walks off while muttering to himself about researching the area for the perfect itinerary. He is already in full strategist mode, leaving other students wondering why he is talking to himself. Noelle is practically vibrating with joy after the class, telling Letitia that the lecture was super educational. She cannot wait to share the big news, shouting that Luke actually invited her to the opera. Letitia is happy for her, but the girl looks like she has a very serious favor to ask. A wave of concern washes over the mentor as she remembers Noelle's unique sense of style. That leopard print mental image is definitely a red flag. Noelle admits she has never been to an opera and has no clue what to wear. The mention of formal wear is enough to make the vice captain start twitching. While the girl rambles about aiming for a mature lady look, Letitia starts waving her hands to stop the potential disaster. Letitia steps up and offers to help her pick out an outfit for the big date. She practically beams with a bright smile while claiming she needs a shopping trip herself anyway. Letitia decides to take charge of the outfit situation as a favor to Luke. Noelle is already losing her mind with excitement over the upcoming shopping trip. Our boy is officially in mission prep mode. He locks in by tightening his tie and making sure every part of his formal look is on point. He poured his entire soul into crafting the ultimate date itinerary. After triple-checking every single detail, he is confident but a bit tired from the all-nighter. Despite the lack of sleep, the atmosphere at the park is looking absolutely top tier. He pulls up to the meeting spot way ahead of schedule to avoid any sudden disasters. A quick cup of tea is the only thing standing between him and the big moment. The reality of the situation is finally setting in as he sits there alone. He can hardly believe his dream date with Noelle is actually about to happen. A mysterious man suddenly crashes the vibe and takes a seat right across from him. He recognizes Luke's recent achievements, leaving our boy completely blindsided by the intruder. Luke is sitting at a cafe table with a stranger who recognizes him. The man reveals that our boy somehow snatched up top-secret info they have been grinding to get. This guy is from the Second Squad, a secret agency that hunts down magic criminals. Since he is in plain clothes, he is definitely on an undercover mission. Luke tries to play dumb, but the agent is not buying it. He shamelessly admits he wants to take all the credit for the discovery himself. With a quick snap, the man drops an anti-eavesdropping spell to keep their conversation private. Luke locks in, knowing this just got serious. Illegal taboo grimoires are being traded right under everyone's noses at the opera house. The authorities think the syndicate hideout is somewhere nearby. Something feels off. Why would a criminal organization choose such a crowded, public place to do their dirty business? Luke remembers Letitia handing him those tickets and realizes it might not have been a random favor. A sudden gasp escapes him as the pieces finally start falling into place. Our boy catches himself and clears his throat, realizing he almost let work thoughts hijack his brain. He needs to stay focused because this date is his most difficult mission yet. The agent waves goodbye as Luke makes it clear he is busy taking time for himself. He officially chooses to stick to his solo mission of a successful date. A cloud of gloom hangs over him as he wonders why this work crisis had to happen now, of all times. He decides to push the investigation to the back of his mind for later. In his head, the scale tips heavily as he realizes the date is way more important than any job. He feels a sense of security knowing the second squad is already handling the case anyway. The sound of clicking heels interrupts his thoughts and catches him off guard. He looks up just as a familiar voice mentions he is early. Noelle makes her grand entrance in a stunning dress that leaves Luke wide-eyed and speechless. She waves with a huge smile and thanks him for waiting. Luke struggles to keep his cool while thinking about how radiant she looks today. Before they can even start, Noelle comes charging in with some wild news she just picked up. Noelle drops the work news with a huge smile. Luke's brain is short-circuiting as she rambles about some black market grimoire ring. The scale of priorities is heavily tilted toward work for our girl. Luke can feel the date vibes literally crumbling into dust. Our boy clenches his fist and locks in. He refuses to let the second squad or some criminals hijack his big moment. He tries to suggest a quick bite to stay on track, but Noel vanishes in a flash. He is left standing there wondering where his date went. She is back in a second with enough fried food to feed a small army. Girl is on a mission to secure the snacks. Luke thinks he is getting a share and offers to pay her back. Noel just looks at him confused and confirms all this food is strictly for her. She explains that he probably had breakfast anyway. Luke is just standing there with 0 snacks and a broken heart. Luke points out that skipping breakfast is a rare move for her, but the girl has 0 regrets. Noelle just grins and says she always has a spare stomach for anything deep fried. She takes a bite and basically transcends. Freshly fried food is her love language, and she wonders why it tastes so good while Luke just watches the pure joy. The scent of grilled squid hits, and she immediately loses all focus. Luke just gives a soft laugh, thinking she would not be herself without that bottomless stomach. She is already full speed ahead toward the next food stall. Luke is left in the background wondering if her stomach is actually a bottomless pit. He tries to reach out so he does not lose her in the crowd again. Luke realizes that even though she is technically an adult, she really is just a big kid at heart. She turns back with a massive smile, looking absolutely radiant in her dress. "Let us go, Luke," she calls out, officially taking the lead on their big day. A sweet flashback hits as she grabs his hand to lead the way. He is reminded of how warm her hand always feels, just like the time she pulled him along when they were kids. Our boy is officially being dragged around by Noelle and her every whim. The perfect date he had planned is basically in shambles. Despite the chaos, he is having more fun than he ever imagined. Watching her crush that ice cream makes him realize he never wants this to end. He just wants to stay by her side forever. Watching from the shadows, some observers note how perfectly Noelle and Luke fit together while they walk through town. The secret stalkers turn out to be Gawain and Letitia. She tries to remind the captain that they are actually working right now. Gawain is not worried and mentions that those two are always acting like this. He points out the sad reality that Noel probably does not even see Luke as a guy, which is why they are so close. Letitia just sighs, wondering how her career led to a stakeout for a date. Backtracking a few days, the squad receives a call about a black market ring operating at the Royal Opera House. Gawain explains that Luke actually turned down the lead role on the investigation because he already had plans with Noel. Our MC is just happy to be going to the show. The captain is way too invested in their romance and decided to use the mission as an excuse to watch them like a reality show. A chaotic warning appears. If Gawain and Noel ever actually cross paths, it is game over because neither of them has an ounce of tact. Back at headquarters, Letitia finally reaches her limit with her boss. She decides she has to put a stop to his nonsense once and for all. With a look of pure determination, she demands to join the investigation. She is not about to let the captain handle this mission alone. Fast forward to the opera house, and Letitia is seriously questioning her life choices. She is stuck working on her day off and worrying that onlookers will mistake her mission for a romantic date. She admits that Gawain can be a total handful sometimes, but there is no denying that he is a kind leader who is idolized by his squad. Rumors are flying that the two of them are a perfect match, but she is quick to shut that down. They are just partners who happen to graduate in the same year. Those rumors could not be further from the truth. Her real memories are filled with the captain begging for a loan because he spent all his money on dinner for his team. Letitia is currently undercover, keeping a close eye on the duo as they walk through the crowd. Luke leans in with a rare moment of self-doubt, asking Noelle if he is really doing that bad of a job as her date. Our boy completely drops the cool act and admits that being here with her makes him genuinely happy. This level of honesty is way too much for Noelle, who is currently experiencing a total brain melt from the sudden charm. Looking at him now, Leticia can barely believe this is the same guy she knows from work. He used to be a cold machine who only cared about his next promotion and nothing else. Noelle has somehow turned him into a real human being who actually prioritizes his own feelings. He even blew off a high-level investigation just to spend the day with her, proving he is finally ready to move forward. The sight of his character development is almost enough to make Leticia emotional. She realizes that she simply cannot let this beautiful moment be ruined by any outside chaos. Unfortunately, the captain has zero chill and comes charging in like a total fanboy. He is way too hyped to miss out on the free entertainment, much to the horror of his long-suffering subordinate. As they reach the Grand Opera House, Leticia makes a silent vow to herself about her own love life. She would not date a man like her boss, even if he was the last person left on the planet. Noelle is scanning the crowd with intense focus, convinced that every stranger is a potential criminal. Luke tries to keep things chill, asking her how she even knows what a black market dealer is supposed to look like. Luke let out a heavy sigh as the romantic atmosphere officially flatlines. Noelle is way too hyped to break the case solo, forcing him to remind her that this is not actually their job today. A sudden tug on his sleeve brings Luke out of his thoughts. Noelle is looking up at him with a serious expression, her hand firmly gripping his coat. She admits that she appreciates him being considerate, but she knows he would never ignore an investigation that could lead to a promotion. With a confident smile, she tells him that he can rely on her too. Noelle is fully fired up and promises not to let him down. Luke watches her from behind, realizing with a bit of a sting that she probably only sees him as a reliable friend. Despite the realization, a faint blush creeps onto Luke's face. He admits to himself that as long as they are together, he is happy anyway. For Luke, spending time with her is far more important than any work assignment. Noelle catches him staring and warns him that gawking like that is going to get them caught. Luke offers to escort her properly, but Noelle is already treating this like a top-secret spy mission. She is practically vibrating with excitement while he tries to keep things grounded. They step into the Grand Opera House, and Luke realizes that working a case with her might actually be pretty decent. Noelle clings to his arm as they take in the fancy vibes. After they find their seats and settle in, Noelle is feeling like a royal princess and expects a story to match. Luke immediately kills the mood by letting her know it is actually an epic about slaying dragons. The idea of a dragon-slaying story has her totally hooked. Luke assures her that the kingdom's top talent is performing, and she can hardly contain her hype. Minutes later, the performance begins. Despite her earlier energy, Noelle's head starts bobbing as she enters a losing battle with sleep before the main character even shows up. Luke can only watch in disbelief as his date's excitement turns into a deep nap. He should have seen this coming after her earlier fried food marathon. Noelle finally reaches her limit and slumps right onto Luke's shoulder. The sudden contact leaves him completely frozen with his heart racing. Having her this close is doing a massive number on Luke's heart. He is trying his best to stay cool while she is sound asleep on his shoulder. He is caught in an internal battle over whether to wake her up or let the moment last. Ultimately, he decides that a few more minutes of this won't hurt. Our boy is officially in his feels and wishes he could just freeze time right here. It is a top-tier romantic moment even if his date is currently dreaming about snacks. The lights come up as a 20-minute intermission is announced. Act 1 is officially in the books. Noelle didn't move an inch through the entire performance. Luke admits he didn't see much of the show either since he was too busy being a human pillow. He starts thinking about thanking Letitia for the tickets before his mood takes a sharp turn. Something about the mission must be calling him back to reality. Noelle finally wakes up and realizes she accidentally slept through the entire first act. She looks around for Luke, but his seat is already empty. Noelle starts suspecting that Luke ditched their date to go hunting for the black market ring. A tuxedo-clad man bumps into her with a hurried apology, vanishing into the crowd before she can react. Noelle's gaze sharpens as a peculiar scent hits her. Something about that smell is way too familiar. Her brain goes into full analysis mode, instantly picking up traces of mandrake root, magic crystals, and bicorn horn. It is the unmistakable scent of a transformation potion hidden under a layer of cologne. Noelle knows she cannot just let this guy walk away. Date mode is officially deactivated as Noelle takes off at a full sprint to track the suspicious guy down. She follows him to a restricted area, but a no-entry sign stands in her way. She is not about to let that stop her investigation. Thinking fast, she decides to play the lost looking for the bathroom card and peeks inside. The room is filled with crates, but her target is nowhere to be seen. The trail goes cold as the target vanishes into thin air. She finds herself trapped in a hallway, wondering how she could have lost him at a dead end. She stops to focus her magic and see through the trick. A quick dispel spell shatters the illusion, revealing a dark doorway that was hidden in the stone wall the whole time. A secret stone staircase leads straight into the dark. This path has to lead right to the heart of the black market operation. Luke's date night is officially cooked because his captain and Letitia just crashed the party. Gawain plays it cool asking what they are doing there, but Letitia is clearly just sorry for being part of this. The squad explains they were drafted to help the second squad with the black market case. Turns out that smug officer from earlier was the one who pulled the strings. Gawain tries to act like he is doing Luke a favor by mentioning the case beforehand. Our boy is not a fan of the sudden hug and just wants his personal space back. The mood shifts instantly as Gawain says it is time to get to work. Letitia sets up a privacy spell to make sure no one can eavesdrop on their discussion. They are hunting a dangerous group known as Twilight. These guys are the main ones moving forbidden grimoires through the underground market. This syndicate has influence spreading way past the kingdom borders. They are experts when it comes to kidnapping and even straight-up murder. Their real bread and butter is production. They excel at making banned potions and illegal magic weapons for the highest bidder. Banned magic potions are a double-edged sword since they skyrocket your combat stats, but leave half the users permanently disabled as a side effect. The illegal weapons they are making are even worse because they actually corrupt the user's mind and body. Letitia explains that their wind-kind mad staff is far more powerful than any ordinary magic. As if that is not bad enough, Gawain adds that the syndicate likely has their hands on dangerous labyrinth relics. They are dealing with items as legendary and dangerous as the evil god's goblet. Meanwhile, Noel investigates the basement and realizes the walls are loaded with top-tier soundproof and durability buffs. This place is way too fortified to just be a normal storage room. She realizes there is no way people are coming and going without someone noticing, meaning this is definitely an inside job involving theater staff. Back with the squad, Letitia suddenly remembers organizing theater documents during her rookie days. She is certain those files had some suspicious info on the manager of this opera house. This guy made a name for himself as a director in the North before landing the top job at this opera house. But rumors about his underworld connections eventually put him right in the crosshairs of a major investigation. If the manager is actually working with the bad guys, Noelle knows she is about to find something spicy. Our girl charges down the stairs toward whatever is waiting for her at the bottom. She peeks into a massive storage room that is way bigger than it looks from the outside. The scale of this place is wild, and she is definitely feeling the pressure of being in enemy territory alone. She spots a few shadowy figures whispering in the distance, and it is definitely not just the staff member she was tracking. This secret meeting looks like a major red flag. They are clearly plotting something, but they are too far away for her to hear any of the juicy details. Her eyes land on a large crate right next to her, and she starts cooking up a plan. Our girl starts thinking about pulling a total stealth move by hiding inside a box to get closer. She pops the lid open to clear out the contents, fully ready to commit to the mission. Her heart nearly stops when she sees what is actually inside the box. It is a massive stash of illegal, banned potions, meaning she just stumbled onto the Syndicate's main supply. Noelle connects the dots, remembering Luke's intel about the second squad hunting a black market dealer. The face she just saw matches the profile perfectly. Luke's voice echoes in her head, explaining that the Syndicate likely has a secret base right in the area. Our girl starts putting two and two together. Scanning the room, she realizes this is way more than just a simple trade spot. Storing this much contraband means the Syndicate is not just nearby, they are settled in. The realization hits her that she is standing in the middle of the enemy base. Escaping to find Luke becomes the top priority, but a sudden sound kills any hope of a clean exit. A voice from the darkness asks what they should do with the little mouse who wandered in. Before she can move, hooded figures swoop in from every angle to block her path. She is officially surrounded with no clear way out. The Syndicate has her cornered in the basement, and the vibes are not looking great. A group of older men in fancy suits step out from the shadows. While some of them are shocked to see a kid, the dealer from earlier recognizes her immediately. The Syndicate leader slams his cane into the ground, making it clear her age will not save her. He stares her down with a cold glare and asks if she really thinks they would let any witnesses leave this place alive. Noelle faces down the enemy as the command to kill her rings out. The hooded goons raise their glowing staves, ready to strike on order. She immediately identifies their weapons as prohibited gear from the Wind God. With a sharp swipe of her hand, Noelle gathers her magic to counter their illegal staves. Noelle fires off a massive wind blast that rocks the entire building with a loud boom. The goons are completely caught off guard by her raw power and scramble to stay on their feet. The Syndicate members watching from the shadows are genuinely impressed by her speed and mana reserves. The leader just grins, implying they still have plenty of tricks left to play. They wonder how long she can actually last against the elite members of Twilight. These guys are boosted by superhuman strength potions and carry staves that are far more powerful than any normal mage could handle. Noelle refuses to back down and activates a spell boost to push her limits even further. She summons a whole array of magic circles at once, preparing to unleash a storm of spells. The goons are losing their minds because our girl is moving at light speed. She is outreading every attack they throw her way with some high-level wind magic. They cannot believe a novice court mage is holding her own against a squad boosted by banned potions and god-tier gear. Noelle keeps it real with herself, knowing the odds are technically stacked against her. But there is one thing she knows for sure. Real magic is not about shortcuts or shady staves. It is built on time, sweat, and enough passion to outwork everyone else. She plants her foot and makes it clear. These guys and their cheating ways are officially on her bad side. She shouts that nobody should dare call those sticks better than a real mage before unleashing a massive boom. Goons are getting cooked and the bosses are starting to sweat because they realize she is the real deal. Barefoot and unbothered, Noelle stands her ground to finish the job. The boss loses his patience and orders the dealer to bring out the secret weapon. Noelle recognizes the artifact as a relic from an evil god. This legendary item can activate magic stones and double the strength of any weapon in its range. It acts as a cheat code for a magic battle. The leader screams for his goon to hurry up even though the cost is steep. Activating this thing drains half of the user's remaining lifespan. Forced between losing his life now or losing half of it later, the dealer has no real choice. The boss makes it clear that failure is not an option. The artifact begins to glow with a blinding light as the ritual starts. Noelle tries to stop the madness, but the dark power is already surging into their staves. The energy from the goblet is pure nightmare fuel. The syndicate members stagger under the weight of the sinister magic as they are boosted by the relic. He mocks Noelle, bragging that many elite mages have fallen to this special grade weapon. Since magic items never get tired or make mistakes, he thinks our girl is officially done for. The goon thinks he has finally won as a massive blast engulfs Noelle. "You're done for," he screams, thinking our girl is officially toast. The syndicate boss is already planning his victory celebration and tells his goons to pack it up. He has that smug look as they prepare to leave the scene. One of the dealers is literally shaking in his boots, but the boss is not having it. He shoots a cold look back and tells the dude to quit stalling. Noelle is struggling to even stand, but her clenched fist shows she still has some fight left. Noelle's eyes snap open with a dangerous glow as she sends a goon flying with a single swipe. She refuses to stay down and immediately begins casting another massive spell. The boss is losing his mind because the math is not mathing. He cannot believe Noelle is matching them even after they use their literal god-tier cheat code. Things are getting dicey as the buffed goons start landing even heavier hits. Noelle realizes she is hitting a wall and admits that she might lose this fight. Our girl is covered in blood, but her eyes say she is not done yet. She is gambling everything on buying a single second for her partner to finish the job. A sudden shockwave sends the goons stumbling back in confusion. Noelle knows she cannot win this alone, so she is just focused on making things easier for whoever shows up next. Seeing her at her limit, one of the hooded dealers charges in for the kill. He thinks she is defenseless and wide open for a final strike. Our girl is shocked when the dude switches to physical combat. She takes a nasty hit to the gut and gets sent flying as blood splatters the floor. Noelle is sliding across the ground and can barely keep her eyes open. The syndicate member looms over her with a smug look, convinced that this is the end of the road. Out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning crashes down and fries the dealers. They scream in agony as the high-voltage magic tears through their defense. The syndicate leader is shaking because there is no way lightning should hit them this deep in a basement. He looks around in a panic as his operation falls apart in seconds. A pair of fancy boots hit the floor just as the last goon turns into a charcoal briquette. A voice gives our girl some props, calling her a rookie who actually held her own. Even with blood dripping down her face, she just flashes a confident grin. She managed to give a weak thumbs up to let the boys know she was still in one piece. Luke and Gawain finally pull up in style, looking like they just stepped off a red carpet to end some careers. Luke tells her they have got the rest covered, and judging by the look on the syndicate leaders' faces, they know they are cooked. That's it for today, guys. If you made it to the end, comment Noelle so I know you're real ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Until then, keep on cooking.